This girl I know found out she got cheated on because one day she was just ordering Postmates for her and her boyfriend.
3 major signs that you're being cheated on.
You want to know if he's cheating on you, and I'm going to tell you.
Grown men will never need your help.
Stop settling. What are you guys doing?
Just go cheat. Just don't tell nobody. Okay?
We don't usually take the time to sit down and think about a trend. Like, who the fuck's doing that? Like, get a life. But, like, we have this podcast.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I am one of your hosts, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I really still love men, but they are so disappointing, and I work in social media and marketing.
And I am your other host, Autumn, like this season. I'm always trying to find out ways to make myself look meaner. And I work in entertainment. If you guys are new here, tuning in to So Wet, So Dry for the very first time, what we do is explore duality through deep diving topics about sex, relationships, identity, all where internet trends and reality collide. We do post polls for every single episode as well, so head over to our Instagram at So Wet, So Dry. The O's are zeros. We always post the polls on our stories every single week, so you got to follow us to be a part of that, and we would love to have you.
Yes, and today we are talking about TikTok dating paranoia content. We're talking about TikTok relationship theories, TikTok relationship tests. We're talking about girlies, cheating content, catching cheaters, all of those things. But before we get into that, we're going to start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment. So I will go first. I'm so wet. I feel like, honestly, like the people in my life in multiple areas have been really like testing me lately. But like, I feel like I'm proud of myself in multiple areas for like just learning through therapy how to set boundaries and like do it in a loving way and also like a stern way, because it's been like multiple people in different areas of my life, whether it's like friends, love, work, like different situations, family even, different situations where like I kind of used to like run away from that shit and still do to a point, but like I've put myself in more situations where I feel like I'm using my voice and I'm speaking up and it's not as fucking bad as I think it is, you know? So I'm like happy that therapy has been like working for me, and that's one of the biggest things I wanted to tackle. So I feel like I am slowly but surely getting there.
Yeah, and I think it's the hardest to set boundaries with people you actually fuck with and love.
Yes.
We all know that, but it's so hard and it's so much easier said than done. This week I'm so wet. I know it's like super late and I've only seen the first episode, but I'm really liking the show Wednesday on Netflix. I know.
Oh my God, you're so late.
I'm so late always because I'm still like rewatching like The Biggest Trend of 3 years ago or whatever. But yeah. I really like it, and just the whole like spooky vibe. Like when I say I'm trying to figure out ways to make myself look meaner, I just mean like my fashion in the past has been very like baby doll, and I do love that. I still want to do it, but I'm just kind of like, I'm over being so friendly and approachable. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you want an edge. You give today, you're giving Maddie from Euphoria or Charlie XCX, honestly. Like, I can see like that influence in there.
Shut the fuck up.
You're really killing it.
I'm obsessed. And the other thing, I wrote it down. Oh yeah, the Wicked movie is coming out. Like, you know the show Wicked, the Broadway show?
Yeah.
One of my favorites. I've seen it off Broadway many, many times, and I just fucking love everything about it. But the best part is that Ariana Grande is playing the Good Witch, and then Cynthia Erivo is playing Alphaba, like the main character, the Bad Witch, whatever. And I'm just literally so excited. Like, again, the trailer came out like 3 weeks ago. Just watched it, but it's coming out so soon. And the last thing I'm wet about is like, I feel like it's so cliche. Like whenever anyone asks us like, oh, why did you start the podcast? Or, oh, why podcast? Whatever. And we're always like, oh, like our conversations are just so good. And it's like, we're pick-me's, but it really is like our conversation today. Like, honestly, like I got just as much out of it. Like I honestly felt like inspired and like proud and like just like in so many ways. And I was just like, wow, like I'm just so lucky, you know, to have a friend that I can just like talk to that with. Cause like, I don't know. I feel like everyone has so many friends, and you think everyone has so many friends, but it's like you really only have like few people that
the deep friendships, like the ones you can talk about anything with and actually like feel better about it after. You know?
Right, because it's so rare, and it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. It's just like we're hard to please individuals.
Yeah,
Like we
exactly.
are. So yeah, just feeling grateful about that.
Oh,
sure.
I love you.
Me too.
I'm so dry about. I was like I stayed in bed like late this morning and was like scrolling on TikTok, and I got down the rabbit hole of fucking. What is her Brooke Schofield and Clinton Kane? She's on a podcast with Tana. Look, guys, I've like listened to a couple episodes of their podcast. Like, I don't really know like the history, whatever. I watched all of Clinton Kane's videos, then went back and watched hers. And it's just like, it's just sad on both sides to me. Like, a lot of people are really hating on him because, like, I guess he lied about, like, his mom being dead, but it was really a mother figure, and he cheated on her, and their relationship was only 3 months, but it was 6 months. And there was just, like, all this. He was posting screenshots. She was talking shit. Like, people are coming for him. Like, and it's just sad on both fucking sides. Like, I just feel like relationships in the public eye, also like Madeline and fucking Ice Spice and Central C, like the intrusiveness that the internet feels. And like, you know, I know Brooke and Clinton and these people like ask for it in a way by talking about their relationship online. But it's just really like scary, and it kind of like feeds into like today's topic a little bit. We're not going to talk as much about like celebrity relationships, but it's just like I just like feel bad for everybody involved and like everybody that is getting involved and getting pissed off because you don't even know these people. Like,
right.
You know?
And it's like we know that this shit happens to everyone. Like we all have stories like that, but it's like you're not famous. So it's like
right.
Blah blah blah, but it's I know it really is, and that's why it's like so many celebrities are like, honestly, like I love, like I forget who specifically said it, but like I love my art, I love acting, but like I hate being famous. Like I don't like with what comes with it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so real. Like honestly, I always say this, I would rather be rich than famous. 1000%. But I'm dry just about like decision-making paralysis. Like I feel like I'm like my lease is ending soon. I'm like looking to go into different like industry in terms of the entertainment branches and all that you can do. And it's just a lot of decision-making, which is exciting, you know, at the same time. And I am feeling a little bit lighter about it all, but it's still just like intense. And like the whole age thing, like it's not like I'm scared of like getting old. Like I kind of like I'm slowly getting over that. It's just like I just feel like there's this idea of like once you like find the love of your life and want to start kids, it's like your life's just over.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true. I know it's like life's just different, and there are a lot of sacrifices you make for having kids, obviously, but I'm just like anxious to like do shit. Like I don't know.
Yeah. It always feels like we have like so much time but never enough, and then there's those milestones
it's running
of
out.
like 30s coming up, but people in their 30s live still. Like, you know, it's everything. 30s coming up in like 4 years. Like, we have fucking time. But yeah, I feel you, bitch. That's hard as fuck.
I know. We have time.
Okay, so as I said before, today we are talking about relationship and dating paranoia content on TikTok, YouTube also. But first, we asked you guys, what types of content about relationships do you consume the most? And 38% said TikTok story times, get ready with me's, and advice. Next was 25% with interviews, books, pods from therapists and experts. Then we have 21% news about celebrity relationships, like we kind of just talked about. And lastly, we have YouTube and podcasts from lifestyle influencers and life coaches. And I think this is kind of what I suspected it to be. Like, you know, not everybody is in the niche that we are, where we just like love to research fucking relationship and sex trends. But like a lot of people consume it in short form on TikTok, you know?
Yeah. I feel like if we didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't be
Right.
going really. Like, I think I would align with everyone else in terms of the short form, TikTok story times, things like that. But I don't know. I also do get a lot of it from podcasts as well. It's not always relationship advice, but it's like people talking about their relationship that is like really hits hard. Like in podcasts where people are like, my partner did this, or like even with the Becca and Shannon, or like Drew Offawalo talking about her boyfriend. Like no one's doing anything wrong, but it's like listening to as it like you do get jealous. How could you not? Especially when it's so fucking rough out here, bruh.
Yeah, exactly. And we cling on, like, we worship these certain couples, or we're like, oh, we want that. And like even podcasts, like when I first started listening to podcasts, I listened to like Think Like a Monk, and then like Brene
Yeah.
Brown was on something, like things my mom would listen to. And a
Yeah.
lot of them like just would come up about like topics in relationships. So I feel like normally it used to be interviews, books, and podcasts, but like lately it feels like my TikTok algorithm is like entirely this type of stuff and I don't even want to fucking see it. So like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to escape it, and it's also kind of scary how it's become entertainment. But we also asked you guys, do you feel more paranoid than ever about the potential for a relationship to fail? And this is a 50-50 poll. We love a 50-50 because it's really, you know, on the rocks. People aren't sure. And honestly, like, I don't know where I stand. I think I said no, but I feel like, yes, it depends on the day. It depends on the content I'm consuming, the person I'm with. Like, I
think that if I was straight, I would be.
Yeah.
But I think in the back of my mind that I know I can go to like the femmes or the girls. I'm like, it's going to be okay. But if I only liked men, I would be terrified right now.
Yeah, because it's scary with like with men and the whole like gender wars, all of that stuff. But also, you know, just being online, like the ability to cheat, which we're going to get into later. And then like comparing your relationship to others. Like even if
it's
you
a lot
are
of
queer,
straight content.
Yeah, there is a lot of straight content. So it's like, I don't know. It's easy to like get into this kind of like negative cycle of thinking where you're just like, oh, it's never going to work out anyway, because I think more and more people are like waiting to get married or not having long-term relationships, or at least that's
so true.
But it's like, is it true, or is it the perception we have online? Because I know like where I grew up in a small town, there's a good amount of like married people, but arguably like, you know, that's just what they do
right, because same, like there's bitches from my high school that are married and I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. But I'm also like, good for them. Like I know that that does work for some people, but I just feel like living in a place like LA and like Atlanta, it's like, I don't know, like it just kind of feels like all that matters is like coming up right now. It's not necessarily like, I don't know. And I'm like, honestly, like I want to wait the longest I possibly can before I do all that shit. So I think it's about kind of like the bubble you're in, but you're right. Like I feel like if I stayed in my small town, it's like I have talked to people that live in like really small towns and they like feel embarrassed. They're literally 24, not married, and they feel like they fucked up. And I'm like, girl, you're like, what? But
in
it's
Atlanta,
like,
there's people that are
culture.
35 still doing sneaky links and like all the 38, 40. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on where you live. It depends on the culture. But like
you're in Texas, you're gonna get married. Like, I don't know, you stay there. I don't know. It's just weird. It's so weird.
It's definitely weird. But so now I kind of want to transition us into this dating paranoia content. And this is kind of what I'm calling it. I don't know. I haven't heard it called this anywhere else yet. But like, I want to get into a little bit about paranoia first, because I want to be careful, because it is a mental health term as well. But first, the definition of paranoia, according to Google, is unjustified suspicion and mistrust of other people or their actions, or the unwarranted or delusional belief that one is being persecuted, harassed, or betrayed by others, occurring as a part of a mental condition. Another definition of paranoia, talking more about like the mental health side of things. Paranoia is the irrational and persistent feeling that people are out to get you, or that you are the subject of persistent intrusive attention by others. This unfounded mistrust of people could make it difficult for a person with paranoia to function socially or have close relationships. Paranoia may be a symptom of a number of other conditions, including paranoid personality disorder, delusional paranoid disorder, or schizophrenia. The cause of paranoia is unknown, but genetics are thought to play a role. Treatment depends on the condition diagnosed as its cause and may include treatment by psychological therapy or medication. So I've had people close to me in my life who have real medical intense paranoia, and it's really scary. So I don't want to get that confused. Like, I think there's a real difference between like, you know, slightly paranoid about like your dating life and like whatever versus having an actual medical condition.
Right.
But because of the
Just
first
like,
definition, but because of the first definition, the like unjustified suspicion and mistrust of other people and their actions, I think that's a lot of what our culture is experiencing when it comes to dating right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's so important to say that, because Like, I don't know. Like, even my fucked up brain is thinking, like, oh, yeah, like, this person definitely had it. And it's like, why do we feel the need to, like, diagnose shit sometimes? Like, I don't know. I just, like, caught myself being kind of annoying. So I just wanted to say that. But, yeah.
Yeah, like, you can be paranoid. Like, experiencing paranoia.
Just like anxiety.
But
like
not.
You can experience.
Yeah, you can experience anxiety. It's like an emotion or whatever, you know, like the fucking movie, the Disney movie. Like, it's a thing without, you know, having a intense disorder. There's levels. Oh, yeah, Pixar.
But Disney bought Pixar.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, but the last thing is there is a thing called relationship paranoia that is specific to, you know, people partnered in relationships. And it says relationship paranoia is anxiety that can occur in any relationship, but it is most commonly seen in romantic relationships. People who suffer from relationship paranoia often fear that their partner is cheating on them, lying to them, or planning to leave them. This fear can cause a lot of anxiety and lead to many problems in the relationship. People who suffer from relationship paranoia exhibit signs of obsessive compulsive disorder.
Like, is this kind of like maybe not as heavy, but it's like when someone like you've been cheated on, you go into your next relationship and you feel like it's like almost inevitable that you will like because you didn't do enough work to heal or something.
Yeah, and I think it's also common for people who have been cheated on, but then maybe go back to the partner and stay with them, and then like maybe this partner is doing everything quote unquote right now, but you have trust issues, so you constantly don't believe they are where they say they are, or you want to go through their phone, and like all of that I think is a little bit romanticized or idolized or seen as part of a normal relationship in our society, which we're gonna get into about cheating like more. But there's also a side of relationship dating paranoia that touches more on even like going on a first date. Like people are paranoid that men are scary and they're gonna kill them, like kidnap them, whatever. You know, so like there's different facets of it, but I think the one we most commonly think of is the cheating side.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are going to talk a little bit about the whole if he wanted to, he would ideology, and also these TikTok relationship theories and relationship tests. So yeah, you want to read us some theories that are going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot for sure. I almost know all of them, but some of them I'm kind of like, what the fuck? But we've got the orange peel theory, the bird test, the Barbie test, the Tyla water test, forest test, the Beckham test, moon phase theory, ketchup theory, birth order theory, black cat theory, February March theory, zero theory, divine feminine and divine masculine, law of attraction, invisible string theory, and the 19 theory.
Yeah, it's a lot. I will say I've tested out a couple of these on the last person that I was talking to. One I'll talk about in a little bit because we're gonna get it's a strawberry theory, but that's in the cheating section of things. The bird test. Yeah, I tried out the bird test.
You did.
I don't think he passed. Like, it's stupid. Like, it's pretty much you're walking somewhere and you're like, oh, a bird. And if they're like, oh, like also looking for this bird, they care about you and what you have to say. And if they don't, then they hate you. I don't fucking know. There's also the orange peel one is like pretty much you're like, I want an orange. And then they're supposed to get you an orange. Then you're like, oh, but I don't want my fingers dirty. And then they're supposed to peel it. And if they don't, again, they don't love you.
And the ketchup theory is like you spill some ketchup, ask your husband or whoever to clean it up and like see if they know how to fucking clean. Like it's
yeah,
so
we talked
wild.
about that in the weaponized incompetence episode. So check that one out for more.
What's
on that
invisible
theory.
string?
I don't hate this one because this one kind of dates back to like Chinese philosophy, mythology, I don't even know. But there it's called the red string theory, but it's the idea that like...
It sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it's pretty much the idea how like some couples will like get married and then they'll look at a picture of them in Disney World and realize the other person was in the background, and it's the concept that like you've crossed paths with this person multiple times but you meet when you're supposed to.
Yes!
It's like more romantic and cute and like
I love
whatever.
that.
Yeah, it's one of the less toxic ones, but I think it can be toxic as well because people will be like, oh, they're the other side of my invisible string. Like, we're always going back to each other kind of thing. Like, we met at the wrong time, but we'll meet later on. And so we keep going back and forth.
And is the Barbie test, like, you explain the Barbie movie to them and, like, if they get it?
If they watch the Barbie movie and they like it.
Like, bro, this is my thing. Like, the Barbie movie was good. Like, I loved it. But, like, it's not, like, that hard to understand. Like, you really think men can't do better than that? Like, that's depressing.
I will say, I went to go see the Barbie movie with the last man that I was seeing. And he liked it. But he didn't have much to say. Yeah, it took forever. But he didn't have fucking much to say about it. And I was so mad because I had seen all these people on TikTok with these husbands and brothers and uncles and boyfriends with great reactions, like epiphanies and shit.
But that's not good. That's a part of it.
Exactly. It was an expectation going in that, like, and he was like, yeah, I get it, Fiji. Like, I get it. Like, I got it before and I get it now. And I was like, that's not good enough. Where's your fucking essay and, like, epiphanies? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's whatever. The Tyler Water test, that's another, I find it incredibly annoying. It's like when girls will play the song, because remember there was a dance where they're like moving their ass, and if their boyfriend looks at their screen, that's a red flag.
I've seen those, yeah. But I've never been hip enough to know, like, which song entitled it.
Yeah.
But yeah, got it.
Yeah, those are dumb to me because, like, I don't subscribe to the belief that, like, men can't look at other women existing.
And I just feel like men shouldn't be scrolling on TikTok. Like, get a life. Like, I'm just kidding.
Okay, valid.
I'm joking.
But the law of attraction is another one that we're going to get into, like, a little bit later, more in the girly theory, and that goes
I love
into
the way
TikTok.
you say guru. You say guru.
Guru?
You're probably right. I say guru.
No, I think you're right.
Okay, finally.
But guru sounds easier for me.
No, I love how you say it. Keep it up.
Guru, girly.
It's like the roof thing. That's why.
Roof, yeah. Roof and
roof. Bitch, it's a roof. Comment below if you, whatever.
Comment below if you get to the end and you're still listening, comment roof.
Babe, we have to wait till
okay, we'll come up with another word. We'll come up with a different word.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so now that we kind of have these theories under wraps, I found this article from Today Online, and it's commentary looking for advice on dating dilemmas. Don't take TikTok and other social media too seriously.
In a world where time is of the essence and instant gratification is the norm, the quick fixes offered online are very appealing to modern young adults dealing with relationship dilemmas. But I've begun to notice how toxic internet dating content can seep into our real lives, subtly perpetuating harmful stereotypes and eroding the foundation of healthy relationships. For women, such advice often trends towards glorifying jealousy, fixating on superficial signs like texting habits, and equating love with material wealth. On the flip side, men are fed toxic messaging that discourage vulnerability, pressures them to become dominant, quote-unquote, alpha males, and promotes manipulative tactics like delaying responses to texts. Bro, men wish the most manipulative thing they did was that. Anyways, take, for instance, the catchy mantra-tuned meme. If he wanted to, he would. It seems simple. If your partner cared about you, he would act accordingly. But people aren't that simple. There are dangers that come with attempting to streamline the complexities of human emotions and motivations into a binary equation such as this.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of hate that if he wanted to, he would statement. I've fallen into it. We all fucking have. But it's just like an overarching statement that doesn't always apply.
But let's talk about it, though, because I'm like, I feel like if he wanted to, he would, being an alive trend at the same time as the bar is on the floor culture is just a little bit ass backwards, because I'm like, if he wanted to, he would, but at the same time, we're all acknowledging this huge problem of like, and is the bar real? Like, I know the bar is on the floor, but it's just like, no one talks about why. It's just like, but if he wanted to, he would. Like, I feel like those two things can't go together in the same universe and time.
Yeah, and it's also like what this writer is saying about like the difference between the content that men are getting versus the content that women are. Like,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just, because we don't think about that, though. It's like, we sit online, we watch Khadijah, we go on TikTok, we watch Drew Afawala, whatever, but it's like men are watching like such horrible shit. And like even shit that's like, oh, like they're just, you know, dissecting this music marketing strategy, but they'll throw in some like, fuck that bitch, like whatever. Yeah. So it's just like, we don't, and it's like, I watch Khadijah for 5 hours in a day. It's like, I'm thinking about that. I'm in that space, but it's like men aren't doing that. So it's like, we expect them to be like doing the same thing, but that's not how they operate. And it's also not really existent for them to have like, I mean, they should look to women and do all that, but they don't have any like men doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not like
stupid.
They're not socialized the same way that women are. Like most of these like relationship tests and like theory things are like very much women centered and catered to the women's side of TikTok. It's women creating the content, it's women doing the tests, like all of those things. So like the idea of like if he wanted to, he would with the orange test. Like most guys that you're in a relationship like, are not going to get
if he
like,
feels it.
Right,
I don't
like
care.
They're not going to understand that when she says, "Oh, I want an orange," that this might be the next massive fight that you're having. Like, I think if he wanted to, he would, like, can apply more to, like, oh, if he wanted to make you his girlfriend, he would. Like, yes, like, those types of things, like, I think we can, like, all agree, like, and are more helpful. But, like, little things like, oh, if he wanted to fucking peel an orange for you, he would, like, guys.
Bro,
like,
and what also starts the paranoia is, like, the catch-up trend within itself. First of all, I don't understand why you feel so comfortable making it so obvious that your partner is like stupid and like doesn't do anything. Like that's weird to me within itself. But then you get this paranoia of like, oh my God, like when I get married, like my husband's gonna be like that. Or, oh my God, like all the men think their daughters should be alone with a bear versus another man. Like that just feeds it more and you're more paranoid. Like that's going to be me. Like look at all these people.
Yeah. And then when the people do like do it as a cute little thing and post it,
it's
like
not
say
cute.
He even like passes or say he fails, which if he does, I don't really know why you would post that. But then you have 1,000 people in your comments that are like nitpicking your relationship and looking for signs to tell you to break up. So now you have this mass of people who don't know you commenting on your relationship and making you more paranoid, you know? So it's like, why are you doing that to yourself?
I know. That's why it's like we really think about it. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Should I keep reading?
Yeah.
Okay. Reading the same article, popular social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram run on algorithms that favor viral content. Trends that promote sensationalized or exaggerated relationship advice often pick up steam quickly and easily, quickly racking up millions of views. But such content often lacks the depth needed to navigate the subjective nature of human relationships. Snappy catchphrases do well with gaining traction on social media, but don't consider personal struggles, communication barriers, geographical locations, or the fact that everyone expresses love differently. That's tea. Perhaps it's more useful to view catchy phrases and advice sound bites as food for thought. For example, while TikTok videos of users testing out the orange peel theory saw millions of viewers tuning in, the theory's popularity seemed to be overwhelmingly limited to girls and women, a group that is typically taught from a young age to prioritize and anticipate others' needs without complaint or concern for our own. Could it be that a seemingly arbitrary request of peeling an orange isn't showing us if our partner loves us or not, but rather reflecting our own desire for our unvoiced needs to be met? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And that part really got me, like the way they phrased that last question. Like, even when I was talking about at the beginning, like even in the beginning of this episode, when I was talking about, you know, like learning how to set boundaries and like all of those things, I think like growing up as a woman, like you're conditioned to like people please and like make other people comfortable and happy like before yourself, and any sort of like boundary setting or asking for something is seen as like irritating or an issue, and like you just need to be like prim, proper, like cool, like yes and agreeable. But in a relationship, like you should voice your needs and you should be able to say, babe, can you peel this orange for me? Like you can't like, and I think us women, like we try to do these sneaky like theory test things to like see how well they know us or how well they anticipate when we need to use our voices more.
Agreed. But I feel like the argument here is like, it's like sometimes we'll talk about things like, oh, it's just a cute internet trend though. Like it's no big deal. But it's like when these things really take off and like arguably a lot of creators of these theories, like maybe they didn't know it was going to take off like this. Like it's what people see and then they run with it, which makes it bad. But it's like the orange peel theory, like it's cute, it's funny, and people always do weird shit for content. You know what I mean? Like they want views, it's fine. But it's the way that like people see a trend like this and then like everyone like it's just weird. Like this shit is not normal.
Yeah,
like whoever created the universe was not like this is how like
because it's like you think about like remember back in like middle school there was like the bucket challenge and it was supposed to raise money.
Dude,
for,
and honestly it's like actually so like I was definitely like I'll be honest. Like I did it. I was one of those girls that like didn't even really know what that was. Later I did find out because someone in my life was affected by it, but I was like 16. Like I just wanted to like be on Facebook and be like wet.
Dump a bottle of
And it's just like that's disgusting.
And that's the thing. Like I think people like
I'm
run out
so
of things
ashamed
to
of
do.
that.
Like people run out of things to do for content, so they're like, oh, like here's this thing, and that initially started as like to raise money for a charity or something, right? But like. And you got to think, too, some of these, like, relationship couples influencers, both of them that make content in that space probably know about the orange peel theory. And they're probably, like, it might be staged. So, like, the ones that you're seeing that are going, like, perfectly, that's the couple that you idolize, might even be real.
That's what I was going to say. And it's also, like, part of it is the algorithm to blame because they, arguably kind of decide what the trend's going to be. And then you want your video to go. So it's just as simple of like, this sounds trending, let's use it. But it's like now it's like some like this is, I know it's like seems silly, like it's just an orange peel theory. And it's like we're really breaking it down and it's like, are we just reflecting on our own desire for our unvoiced voices to be met? And it's just like, why take it to that far? And to that I say, it would be fine if it was just one, but look at all these fucking trends and it's like the gender wars is like honestly at the root of everything, but no one talks about that. Like they just kind of shame men for not being able to pick up ketchup and they should be shamed for that. But in the, in their home with someone they know, not from a million strangers on the internet making fun of them. Like, and honestly, like 6 months ago, I would have been like, no, they deserve it. That's fucking stupid. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But now, like, trying to really engage in, like, intersectional new wave feminism, I'm like, no, like, sorry.
No, but actually, and I think what you hit on is, like, exactly it. Like, it's the comment section that is really the most terrifying place because you have all these people that, like, now your relationship is up for them to pull apart and there's all these comments that are being, like, cruel and going into the true crime type of stuff where they're trying to pull things apart and judge people's body language.
Like couch guy and shit.
Yeah, and all of that stuff, which we're going to talk about like in a little bit.
I saw a couch guy on the outfit.
Yeah. T, but okay. So, yeah, we love Couch Guy low-key for his response. And what episode was that? Facebook groups, which is a really good, are we dating the same guy Facebook groups? That's a really good like first one to listen to maybe before this or after this.
Yeah, so if you haven't listened to that one, go listen to that one and then come back, Dave,
yes,
okay?
Yes, we love you. Okay, orange peel theory a little bit more. So Pop Sugar, a couple of their editors tried out this theory. This is a queer couple that did this one, and they say, I'll be transparent that my fiance fully unequivocally, I can't say that word, guys.
I got it. Unequivocally.
Yes, unequivocally.
Something.
Failed this test. Senior content director Kelsey Castanon says, I can't type emails and peel oranges at the same time, she said matter-of-factly when I asked her mid-afternoon, followed by a simple, I'm already really bad at it, after I pressed. To be fair, I have eaten approximately 3 oranges in the span of the 5 years we've been dating. Nothing against them, but like, who has the time? So it was an odd ask from the get. I suppose if you're a fervent fan of the fruit, I could see how having your partner refuse to peel it for you might be a red flag, but I can't complain. She brings me a hot cup of coffee every morning while I'm still in bed, slices fresh jalapenos for me before each meal despite never once eating them, and lets me, for the most part, have the last bite of whatever it is we're eating at any given time. I'd say we're doing just fine. So this is a healthy
so
response.
jealous, Kelsey. Like, goddamn.
Right, like, get it. Like, we love to see, like, a healthy take on this.
But it's like, exactly. It's like, this is not the end all be all. And also, it's just like those couples online where they failed, quote unquote, the Orange Theory test. It's like, what if this was going on in the background? It's like, I don't, like, this sounds great, you know?
Exactly. And then if you post it and it doesn't go well, that now you have to defend your partner and be like, oh, well, they slice fresh jalapenos for me and they bring me coffee and I promise they're good and like da-da-da-da while everyone's like the bar's on the floor.
Stupid. Like, that's so dumb.
It is so fucking dumb. But we have this next article from Daged Digital. It says, TikTok tests are ruining our romantic relationships. Trends like the bird test and the Beckham test are a part of a wider tendency for TikTok users to scrutinize relationships in unhealthy detail.
I think this is representative of the strive for efficiency and what I called the post-romantic era. An era in which people are seeking ways to make love an effective and efficient business, explains Dr. Carolina Bandinelli, Associate Professor in Media and Creative Industries at the University of Warwick. These tests seem to me to reflect this cultural pattern whereby we want to make things as clear as possible in the attempt to reduce opacity and ambiguity to a minimum. She adds that this is rooted in our contemporary ideology of productivity, where wasting time is perceived as a cardinal sin. So the idea to find ways to know in advance whether someone is worth our efforts and attention, she says. I think that people may not necessarily apply them with full rigor and blind belief, but it is significant that what we look for is tests. Dating advice and tests aren't a Gen Z thing, though. The unknowability of men's inner worlds has fascinated and frustrated women since time immemorial. With the advent of mass-produced women's advice mags in the 20th century amplifying this desire to understand men's minds and opening us up to infinite variations on 10 ways to tell he's the one style articles. Overthinking and overanalyzing are, to an extent, unavoidable when it comes to love, especially when you are young, Dr. Bandinelli says. Roland Barthes, in the essay Fragments of a Lover's Discourse, says lovers are semiologists in that they are constantly interpreting signs. But it does seem as though the pressure on women to do relationships well has intensified in recent years, partly accelerated by the rise of dump him feminism. Although I'm wholeheartedly in favor of incredible women ditching boyfriends who hold them back, it's jarring to see women run from burgeoning relationships at the very first sign of trouble and get the ick over things as arbitrary as seeing their partner struggle to find the end of the sellotape.
Yeah, so this, like, what was the part that really stuck out to me? I mean, the whole thing about, like, these advice columns, like, I had watched some YouTube video essay recently where a woman was going through all of her old Cosmopolitan magazines. Like, she kept all of them from when she was like younger, like similar to like 17 mag and all of that stuff. And
or
reading.
Tiger Beat, bitch.
Yeah, well, Tiger Beat was less relationship focused. That was more like celebrity news.
I would eat that shit up.
Yeah, we loved a magazine back in the day. Even American Girl Doll magazine, like I had.
It was like a delicacy. Like when I got one of those
was.
magazines, like I literally felt like so unstoppable.
Cool. Like you were like, oh yeah, like I'm a hot girl.
And they come with a poster of the Jonas Brothers. I was
like,
let's go.
And I remember like when I was getting to the age of like, I want to say like 12, 13, when it was like, oh, Cosmo would have some of the stars I liked on it. And like my mom didn't really want me to get it as much because it was like more sex related.
Yeah.
But I remember reading things like, oh, like how to make out good, like even in 17 magazine, like how to give good head, how to like just weird, very like male pleasure focused things.
Yeah, and, like,
and
what
even
to
Sex
wear.
in the City, like Sex in the City is all about, you know, relationship stuff, and some of those views are like really dated, but these relationship theory tests like are not new in the like core of the ideology. Like they date back and all these different types of content.
It's just transformed with the generation into now no one's reading magazines. Everyone's on TikTok.
Yeah, and it's like the part where it talked about how women are trying to like figure out the inner workings of a man's mind. Like this kind of reminds me of last week's episode where we talk about limerence, and I feel like I have the tendency to do this with all of the male partners that I've been with because they're usually artists, where I'm like romanticizing and idolizing like what they're thinking about and the complexities of their mind, when like I also know it's a stereotype that men are dumb and have like rocks in their brain and don't think things through, but like honestly, like what, like I feel like, you know, women, while we're theorizing and trying to figure it out and trying to change ourselves and test them and like all of these things, usually they're kind of just like, like they're not doing that. Yeah, like, so we're putting ourselves through all this extra labor when it's like, why? Like, it's patriarchy.
I know. But it is interesting to see how things like come about like in new ages and everything, because part of me feels like those magazines were like a little bit less harmful, because I feel like it was kind of like stupid, like the writing was bad, like you kind of knew it was bullshit, but it's like on TikTok, it's like these people are so for real, like it's like do or die, like it feels way more
and it's
intense.
Real relationships too,
real
that,
examples,
like,
not just like Tom and Sally and made up people. Like the fact that I chose Tom and Sally,
and Sally is hilarious. But we asked you guys, have you ever become overly skeptical about the state of your relationship because you're comparing it to what you think a relationship quote unquote should be? And 48% of you guys said yes, 20% said maybe, and then 32% said no. I've definitely done this. Like, I feel like I try to be conscious of it and try not to. And, like, certain male partners in the past have, like, you know, called me out for it. Sometimes falsely. Like, sometimes when it's like, all right, no, like, I'm not comparing it to what it should be. Like, these are my actual standards, which I think, you know, is important to talk about too. But, yeah, it's hard not to. Like, when you... Most of us aren't learning how to have a healthy relationship. Like, besides your parents, your family members, there's not really many like classes on this in fucking high school, like college, unless you're getting a degree in this shit. So we're like just getting the movies we watch, the content we see, all of those things. And if that's what's like pushed to us is like kind of toxic and like test them, then we're gonna adapt to it.
Yeah, it's inevitable, honestly. And it's like people love to, you know, be the same on it, which is so hard. But it's like the wanting, like, you don't really want your relationship to be different. Like, you want it to be like what you see online, and it's not going to be. So it's like setting yourself up to fail, because the relationship online and in the movies, like, it's not real. Maybe their relationship really is healthy and good, but it's like this picture, this video, like, it's not showing you anything. And like, I can sit here and say that, but I'll still like see a picture of like my favorite streamer and her girlfriend and be like, oh my God, like they are actually perfect together. They never fight. Like they have crazy good sex. Like, but it's like, I don't know that, you know?
Yeah, you're just like judging based off of what they're showing you. And like, I think it's like on one side, like for single people, it's like, it helps you think through what you want, what you're looking for in a partner. But for people that are in relationships that are otherwise healthy, it's really dangerous. And it also goes into the whole idea of the female audience, which again, another one of our episodes is like boyfriends that are embarrassing and it girls in the female audience. But it's like the whole dump him culture that the article also just talks about, because it's like you're less focused on like the healthiness of your relationship and more about other people's perception of your relationship and how it measures up to other people, which is crazy.
And even in Charlie XCX, like she's like, this one's to all my mean girls who, you know, break their boyfriend's heart. Like, dump him culture is, like, so still very much alive. Yeah. And it's also, like, you know, if you break up with a man, it's almost, like, it's, like, better with being
And she's in a healthy relationship. She has a fiance.
Right.
So it's, like, sometimes these things are just, like, trendy things to say. Like, it's what we think the it girls are doing. But, like, some of these people, like, behind closed doors, they're totally different. Like, they are performing. It is entertainment. Like, it's different. But we asked you guys, why do you think you do this? Meaning, like, compare your relationship to what you think a relationship should be. And the one that won was that the relationship didn't meet my standards, which was also tied with relationship advice content made me skeptical, which is what we were saying. And then at 20%, my partner was not loving me in my love language. And then at 0%, friends and family judged my relationship, which is really good. But I wanted the love language one in there because I think sometimes it's like, I've dealt with that in the past where it's like they are loving you and what is their love language and not your own. So it's like, you have to kind of like work through that. I think that's normal in relationships.
Yeah.
And once you figure it out, like that works. But I think like the fact that the relationship didn't meet your standards is tied with the one about advice content is terrifying to me.
I know.
Yeah.
It really is. It's crazy. And some people submitted stories as well. And someone said, I literally had to stop going on TikTok because I got so upset and sad that my relationship wasn't what is portrayed on social media and influencer couples, for example. And that's so real. Like, I've had to unfollow people, like, all this shit. And, like, I will say, like, I go through waves with TikTok. And right now, I literally only go on TikTok to research for episodes. And there's 2 creators that I follow that I want to see. Like, one of them is this girl, Isis, and her daughter. And, like, they're super cute. And then this other is, like, this bitch named Caitlyn. Like, I just like her videos. Yeah. So it's, like, I'm good. Like, I don't go on it. I don't, like, I'm a YouTube girly. But I have been in times where I felt like your thumb just goes to the TikTok app. And even if you know, like, the content you're not getting is, like, gonna make you happy, it's like we're just so conditioned where it's like you feel like I can't go on TikTok. It's like not a good feeling, you know? It feels like you just broke up with someone, you can't like go online, you're like scared to see shit. It's not fun.
I experienced that recently, like in a relationship that was like otherwise like healthy at times, and I'm feeling good and good about it, whatever, and then I go on TikTok to like look for content for an episode, or I just want to scroll and have fun, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing things that like I could, if I wanted to, apply to him and drive me down this hole when like we're okay right now, and I don't need to do that, and I don't need to put myself in a bad mood. So like, why would I do that to myself? But it's hard because like, you know, if you pay attention to anything for a couple seconds, like it's just your impulse, then the next 6 things on your fucking algorithm are that.
Right.
So it's really hard. But the last person who submitted a story for this one said, if he can't, someone else can, so let it be and live your life. And like, I feel this is that, you know, if he wanted to, he would kind of statement. And like, it's hard because like, I do agree with it in certain instances. Like, you know, there is someone out there that will treat you so much better than this toxic guy who's not choosing you and won't make you his girlfriend. But it's not
helpful advice, as though it is true. It's like, and even if he wanted to, he would, is not helpful advice, I feel like. It's
exactly.
Like, okay, like, I'm not stupid, thank you. You know, like, it seems so simple, but it is just like, I don't know. And it's like, there's someone else that would. It's like, okay, but I'm not in love with them right now. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't help.
And yeah, it reminds me of like the first article that we mentioned where it was talking about people are different depending on gender, geographical location, like job, income, like all of those things. So like, you know, your person could be avoidant. They could be anxious. They could have never had a relationship to look up to. They could have depression. They could have anxiety, like things. There are other factors. So it's not an overall statement to apply to everything. Like it just doesn't work.
And I know it's like, okay, well, whoever came up with that wasn't trying to like give great advice and like heal the generation. Like I get that. But I do think like a lot of times when someone's going through something in a relationship and people are like, if he wanted to, he would, girl. It's like, okay, shut up. Like actually shut the fuck up. Because I think, like, I think it said something, like, hold on. Yeah. Like, earlier when it said, you know, like, this is oversimplified. Like, humans are more complex. Like, some people really do want to treat you right. But it's like their trauma is, like, preventing them from doing so. And is that a reason to stay? No, but it doesn't mean that like they don't love you, and it's not like.
And it's about like voicing, like how we talked about voicing your needs. Like you need to give them the tools. Like you can't just be like, oh, if they wanted to, they would, when you never told them that peeling an orange was important to you. And I'm using that as like a thing. But like, say you love fucking chocolate ice cream when you're on your period. If you never told him that, he's not gonna know that, you know? Like maybe he's just like, oh, like she wants to be cuddled. I don't know. So like you need to speak on things and like say what you want. And I'm not great at this. So like I get it being difficult.
And you want someone who's going to ask. You want, and if he doesn't ask, he should ask. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't ask, it's not like, you know, end of all everything.
Right.
You know, we all make mistakes. Like same with lesbian relationships, you guys. Like same exact fucking thing.
Yes.
But we're going to transition into a new section that is cheating paranoia.
Yes, the cheating paranoia is crazy. And we do have other episodes about cheating as well. So we're kind of just going to get into it. But the first one to transition us out of the theories and into cheating paranoia TikTok content is the strawberry question.
This image on the article of the little strawberry, why is it sexual though, bro, Loki?
What? Is it? I think it's just cute. Like,
I think
like
I'm just
baby.
horny. Okay.
I'm screaming. Okay, so what is the TikTok strawberry question, you ask? Over text and out of the blue, people are asking their partners a question along the lines of, if you were walking past a strawberry field, would you take a strawberry and eat it if you were really hungry? Depending on their partner's response, they'll follow up with more questions like, how many would you eat? What if there was a fence? In these questions, eating strawberries is interpreted as a metaphor for cheating with others, and crossing the fence means the partner would overcome obstacles or boundaries to get the strawberries, aka cheat.
No.
While there's, of course, zero evidence that the way a partner answers these questions equates to their likelihood of cheating, TikTokers are getting in on the fun prank to their loved ones. And I just want to let you guys know, when I was planning this episode, I was like researching all these theories and I was testing it on my partner just to like see, and he was getting so fucking annoyed. He was like, I was like, no, I'm not actually testing you. I just want like some real life science experiment shit going on. And I asked him the question and he was like, no, so he passed, he passed the fucking strawberry test.
Well, I would say no. Like, what if they're poisonous?
I mean,
that would be my for real.
I would probably.
I wouldn't pick a berry.
I would say if it was really ripe and I was craving a strawberry.
If I knew it wasn't poisonous, I would hop the fence. I would swim across a river. Like, bitch, if I'm hungry,
you would swim across.
If I'm hungry, like they said, you're hungry. Like, have I not eaten in days? Like,
I'm screaming, and the hop a fence is like they're going through obstacles. Like, guys.
to prank.
Yeah, like I feel like most people with an intelligent brain are not going to be like, oh, I'm going to end a relationship over this. And the comment section.
But a 16-year-old might.
And it has 2.3 fucking million likes.
And the music.
Yeah, and in the comment section, like, someone's like, oh, he said, here I go again. He should have known. We got him, girls. He said no, he would never take a strawberry. What? People are being like funny in the comments. Like, this one's not as bad, but it still like shows you the lengths to which we're coming up with these complex, intense metaphors to judge their character. And bitches, like, we know, like, I'm a girl I've been in a relationship. I've been emotional. I've been on my period. I'm sensitive as fuck. I'm a fucking Pisces. Like, there's been little ass shit that like a partner has said, or I've asked them like, would you love me if I was a worm, or like some dumb shit like that, and then they say no, and I've gotten like my actual feelings hurt. So like people do take this shit seriously, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Same. Would you still love me if I was 8,000 pounds?
Right, exactly.
I've definitely said that before.
Yeah,
because I'm like, I want to eat. Like, I'm hungry. Like, you guys.
No, I remember. No, I'm not even going to tell that story. It's actually crazy. But anyway, going into more TikTok content that makes people paranoid about cheating. This is just a headline. Jewelry store worker reveals how to spot someone cheating on their partner. And says, just break up. And essentially she says, like, she works at a jewelry store. It's a TikTok. And if someone comes in, but they buy 2 different types of jewelry and ask to wrap them separately, like they're definitely cheating. And she didn't believe that was a thing until she started working in a jewelry store. And now she like knows it's a thing. And this is not limited to jewelry stores. There are other people that have posted things as well, including hotel workers who are like talking about people booking rooms to cheat. Victoria's Secret workers talking about the same thing as buying 2 gifts like lingerie. Candy store workers talking about chocolates on Valentine's Day. There are servers talking about people bringing the same girls to a restaurant on different days. And then there's also this crazy one I watched from prison nurses that were talking about how a lot of men that are locked up acquire STDs because they are having sex with other men in jail, and then they are bringing these STDs to women when they get out of jail. So there's a lot of this paranoia content because, you know, people who work in this industry, they're like, oh, look at this like little tidbit of advice of like niche professional shit that I know that no one knows. And so be wary, watch out, bitches, watch out, girls. If he bought you Tiffany's, make sure he didn't buy another girl Tiffany's too. If he took you to fucking Applebee's,
as
make
if
sure
we're
you
not
ask the
already
server.
worried about it.
Like,
We're already scared that he's doing that. And it's like, is this like some girls shit? Like trying to be like, are you going to judge me if I stay with him? Like, though, like.
And it's the thing is that like something like that, like say one of us worked at Victoria's Secret. That is something that if me and you got dinner and we were chilling and like whatever, I would tell you, oh my God, this guy came in and he wrapped like 2 gifts and he was definitely cheating. I've had that happen when I used to be a waitress. Like a guy did come in multiple times with like different girls on like first dates or multiple dates, like whatever. And we would always kind of like laugh like, oh, here he is again. And then like, you know, like not say anything because what am I going to do? I'm their fucking server. I'm not going to tell the girl he's with. But it's just, it becomes different when it's on a platform and people start like commenting and then they get paranoid and then, you know, it spirals.
It's dangerous, bro. And these are like such like everyday jobs. Like the prison nurse one is like more niche, but it's just like terrifying. But it is kind of like I don't know. I guess it is, especially the jewelry worker one. Like, I guess I would never imagine a guy going in, can I have these wrapped separately? Like, I guess that is kind of tea. And like, maybe I would want to tell the internet that. But with everything else in mind of like the real effect of what this kind of content is doing, I wouldn't. And I think like you just said nonchalantly, like, what am I going to do? I'm his waitress, you know, or I'm her waitress. But I think a lot of bitches like would do something and think that they're doing God's fucking work. Like think that they are literally carrying misogyny on their back and telling this stranger.
What if this is just a regular guy on Hinge and he's just
like, what if he is going on a yeah,
and he
like,
hasn't met someone he's compatible with yet? Like
everyone else. Like I don't. But and it's like even if he was cheating though, like I genuinely just believe like it's none of your business. And you're not saving someone.
Right. And I think it's fine. Like these to me are a little bit more innocent in the sense of like for a jewelry store worker to like post this and be like, oh, this is tea totally from where I work.
Yeah.
It's like tea, gossip, whatever. But I think what gets dangerous is when people start commenting, oh, what did he look like? Oh, like da-da-da, like, and then trying to like find this cheater and persecute him, which is another.
And they want to do that. Like
they literally do.
Like that video really stuck with me. I don't remember what episode, but it was that woman who sat on a plane and caught that older man on Hinge. And then she made a huge TikTok, like, if this is your husband, like, DM me, I have proof. And it's like, okay, you really wanted to do that to go viral. Like, you really, like I just don't know how I feel about that. What episode was that?
And there was another one. So that was the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook group.
Right.
Where we talked about this cheaters content a little bit more. But there was another one recently that was also on a plane, and apparently it was something about like the guy was like with his coworker or something, and they hooked up in the bathroom. I don't know, but he has a wife. This woman posted about it, and it went viral. I don't want to include it because I don't really want to add like flames to the fire. I don't really agree with this whole like, you know, going after shit. But there is a TikTok, because this is the next section that we're going to get into, which is like horror stories on TikTok and also like catching cheaters kind of thing, like outing cheaters. So this video is talking about why, you know, this is not okay, essentially.
There's another video of the guy on the plane flirting. I just found out so much information about it, and I want to really dig into it. I'm just playing. You guys are disgusting. Like, actually repellent. You guys are loving this. Like, you cannot get enough. And your addiction to surveillance and attention is betraying the fact that although you're the exact demographic to call yourself girls, your only allegiance is to your own entertainment. And you guys are having fun. You're posting theories. You're sleuthing around looking for her name. You're posting her name. You're posting her photo. You know she knows by now. She's gotten her fill of hearing from strangers on the internet, but you haven't gotten your fill. And to take that video in the first place and post it on the internet and be like, find her, is already a betrayal. Because while some women would welcome that and be like, I want to know no matter what, I don't care who else knows, other women are very private. And if their husband was cheating on them, they may want to deal with that privately. Now, all their friends know, all their family knows, but it's not just people that are close to them that they trust who know. Everyone that doesn't like them knows. Everyone that they know professionally knows. If she wants to leave her husband, now everybody knows why. If she wants to stay with her husband and work it out, now everybody knows and has an opinion on whether or not she should have. Not to mention, some people have open marriages. Some people have rules about traveling, rules about flirting. Like, let me not get too into that because I know you guys get butthurt every time. But, like, not every marriage is like your own. I think that's pretty unlikely in this case, just looking at the stats. But, like, it could be, and you could be putting them on blast. And it's so clearly people working out their own demons around having been cheated on. Just, like, look at the comments, like, my husband did XYZ and blah, 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 blah. Okay, girl. What does that have to do with this? What does your life have to do with her life? Like, why are you now posting photos of her? There are 1.2 million likes on that video. She is no longer able to extricate herself from it. And the original woman who posted it is like, like getting excited every time another like rolls in. Because if you really and truly thought what you were doing was helpful, you would have deleted the video by now. You would have been like, okay, we found her, we told her, no need to keep this up on the internet. But it was never, ever, ever about her. It was always, always, always about you and how you saw other people surveil other people, tell their business on the internet, and get rewarded for it. Even if she comes around and says, thank you so much, I'm so glad I know, I'm so glad you posted this video, you're still disgusting. Because you had no idea of knowing where the chips are going to fall. I'm going to teach you guys something so cool and interesting. It's called SMS. It's a text message in colloquial terms. So what you do is when you see something crazy happening and you know that inserting yourself in it may serve to hurt someone else, you just text. You just text it to your friend. You're welcome.
So yeah, these are like dating, you know, story times, internet sleuths, all of that, similar to the Facebook guys episode. Also, we can group West Elm Caleb into this. Who the fuck did I marry? And when they doxed and found him. Couch guy, like similar super viral things that are very sensationalized and people want to comment. Find them, go fucking bananas online. But like, I completely agree with her. Like, it is intrusive. It is crazy. We want something to be mad about. If we've been hurt or cheated on in the past, we are so quick to like put all that anger out on like some random stranger we know online. And it's just insane, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And I'm just like, we say it all the time, but I'm just so scared because I really just think that like these things are just adding up and becoming more and more normal when it's really not normal. And that's why it's like Gen Z is going to save everyone. I'm like, no, Gen Z is like honestly fucked at this point. Like they have new issues. Like it's honestly, it's terrifying.
Yeah, and I think Gen Z is doing a lot to like move certain social movements forward and like, human rights and like political issues and all of that. But when it comes to intimate relationships, for some reason, we are like absolutely fucking failing.
Oh my God.
But for more on that type of stuff, listen to our other episode, Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook groups. But then we also have more horror stories, which are dating story times and get ready with me's. I will play a couple real quick.
Get ready with me for school, except today I'm breaking up with my cheating boyfriend.
This girl I know found out she got cheated on because one day she was just ordering Postmates for her and her boyfriend on his phone, and she realized that the last saved address was an address she did not recognize. Like, it was not his address, it was not hers. So she goes to his order history. The last time he had ordered was a week prior when she was out of town.
I found out that my fiance was cheating on me right in the middle of his proposal to me. Like, literally as it was happening.
This is how I found out my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me for 3 consecutive years. Buckle up for this one because it's one hell of a ride.
Just the intros. So I'm not going to play like the full of these because I really don't give a fuck and I don't want to know. Usually these are hurt people who went through something super crazy. They have a crazy ass story time and they want to share it with the internet because, you know, they might be in that state of like, I know when I've gone through like breakups and stuff where you're feeling like a little manic, you want to go out, you want to party, you want to just tell people, and you're like maybe a content creator too. And this makes for sensationalized content for people to comment on. But like, as we're consuming this, like it unlocks new fears. Like people will literally comment new fear unlocked, you know, because of this crazy way that this person has cheated. And it's like, you got to think too, like sometimes these are influencers that are literally plugging products at the same time. So like they could be lying. Like, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also just like when I watch them, I just get like secondhand sadness. Like it's just like a real downer, you know what I mean? And I'm all for like being manic and like telling the internet what you did. Like we do that all the time, but we're also not like actively like advice givers. Like we always try to give advice, but the reason we have a segment at the end of what we're so wet, dry, and confused about is because we do not have it all together. And
Yes.
we will tell you guys that over and over again. And I feel like honestly, y'all probably know. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, just watching all these videos, like, yeah, I just don't. I have no interest.
Yeah,
I really don't
swipe
care.
the fuck past them because it's like, it's trauma dumping. And I think Gen Z is really good at trauma dumping, and we make it like a little joke sometimes, like the trauma candy bowl and like whatever. And sometimes it can be funny. Like the way that someone's handling this terrible situation with grace and humor is sometimes like motivating. It makes you feel better. But it can also unlock those new fears that we talked about. But there's also more kind of get ready with me type of dating coach content. Sometimes there's therapists, but I want to question whether they're real therapists or not at times because of the style of the content that they create. Here's a little compilation of these types of red flag signs he's cheating content.
Here are 3 major signs that you're being cheated on.
You want to know if he's cheating on you, and I'm going to tell you. We all know who've been there what the signs are, and here they are.
Look, now I'm not trying to break up your relationship, but I'm about to give you 10 signs that they might be cheating. You ready for this? Number 1.
A cheater will always show you the signs that he is a cheater in the beginning of your relationship. Let me go ahead and explain.
Red flags that should make you run for the hills. The number 1 red flag, in my opinion, that should scare the shit out of you is an insecure man or woman. Fucking run, Forrest, run.
Here's my list of red flags in men. I'm just trying to help women out. I think these are some red flags that we need to talk about more. Number 1, my biggest one is they watch adult entertainment. Porn. They look at naked women on the internet. Yuck. Don't date them. Walk away. No, really. If they say that that's normal and that's okay, and they don't totally tell you like how they make sure they stay away from that stuff, don't give them a chance. Not one chance.
It's just crazy because it really, like, they all seem very, like, serious, but they have to know that, like, this is ridiculous. And it's also just, like, the same way the makeup industry and, like, the clothes, like, they make money off of our insecurities. Like, that's what these creators are doing. And I don't think there's really anything wrong with like 10 signs he might be cheating. Like that's okay. But if that's the only content that you ever put out, it's just a little bit like, I don't know. To me, I just look at it and it's like, oh, fake, like fake news.
Yeah. And it's like, we want to be transparent too. We did an episode like over a year ago that was like red flags, just red flags in general. Like it's cute, it's fun, it's whatever to like talk about red flags and like potential actual signs that someone's cheating. Like that could be helpful to someone who's actually going through this. But like I think that when it's like your algorithm is made by what you watch, and like if you already kind of have this cheating, dating paranoia, consuming this content will feed the delusions and make you just more on edge all the time, even if your relationship is healthy, which is why it's kind of scary.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because it's not like it's just white women doing it or something. It's just this type of person doing it. It's like
It's men too. Men will make this type of content.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the other side. It's like, I think we've been talking a lot about women and the types of content that women consume, but with the gender wars and even incels and all of these things, like a lot of the content is like talking very negatively about women and their body count and what they're doing behind the scenes, and like, oh, she's really cheating on you on the low. So like guys will create a lot of this content as well. So it's really on both sides of the gender war spectrum.
Right, which is like not good.
It's not at all. There's also guys that'll be like, oh, signs that he's cheating, and I know because like I used to be a cheater, which like, you know, feeds it even more, like whatever. There's also, this is a smaller population, but there also is like advice to cheat. And this is like people giving like tips on how to cheat, which is just like scary. Like, who is looking up that content?
Boyfriend is so sweet and has been providing for you since you were 17. You haven't paid rent since then, but you're 20 and get a bad urge to cheat. Y'all are too young to be that exclusive. Just go cheat. Just don't tell nobody. Okay? Keep it on the low. If you're creeping, just don't let him know.
This is how to cheat on your girlfriend without her finding out. The first thing that you need is a second phone. This is super essential. If you're gonna cheat, you can't have everything on one phone, bro. No funny business right here. We're professionals.
Like every so often, like one of them will like go viral as like, you know, people are commenting, this is crazy, like this is awful, like da-da-da, but now you're boosting it and it's going viral. And it's a new fear unlocked, you know?
That's literally the internet's MO. Like, honestly, we boost the fuck out of the wrong shit constantly.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah. And then the last one is kind of hacks to catch them cheating. So this is what I'm talking about when we kind of mentioned in the beginning about, you know, like ways to go through their phone, or like ways to like smell their clothes and look in their trash can, and like all of this like insane shit.
Ladies, if you think your man is cheating on you, I've got the perfect Snapchat hack for you, okay? Listen up. Welcome to today's lesson of how to go through your man's phone without actually going through your man's phone.
Catching a cheater can be easier than finding your favorite Netflix show. So you're sitting next to your significant other on the couch, cozying up, having a nice little night, and you're noticing, geez, he's on his phone a lot. And he's engrossed in his phone. Oh, number one sign, ladies, is that damn phone. It's the number one sign.
When you're going through that phone, you're going through the wrong stuff. That's why you ain't finding nothing, but I got you. Here's the 5 places you need to go through when you're going through that phone if you're trying to actually find something. And if you're one of those people that's like, I don't go through my partner's phone, that's so insecure, where's the trust? I'm just going to say a prayer for you. I hope it don't hurt that bad when you realize, like, reality. Shit, going through the phone is already an iffy topic, so if you're going to go through it, make sure you at least going to find something. Number 1, that Cash App or that Venmo.
I'm not gonna lie, like I've been in a situation where I had a man cheat on me before, and like I had a friend go through his phone. Like I didn't personally want to. I wanted to choose ignorance is bliss. But like,
did you have a friend do it, or did she do it on her own will?
She did it on her own will, and then I looked at it. So it was like it wasn't.
You couldn't control it.
Yeah, it was like it was presented to me, and I've had a partner go through my phone and accuse me of cheating when I wasn't. And that was a really kind of traumatic experience because they're yelling at me over things that are not fucking real. And I think anytime when you're like invading your partner's privacy and you're like going to all of these lengths to catch them in this lie, like maybe you shouldn't be with them because it could be their behavior that like, you know, and I know you want to latch onto this like actual tangible act so that you have a reason to leave them, but like so often that doesn't even really work.
Yeah.
So why are you driving yourself crazy?
The right person to see that video that's like going through something, had never thought of, oh, that's a way I could catch them, and then they go out and do it. And as a viewer, it's like, oh, no one's really going to do that. But it's like, no, people really do. Like, obviously, that's why it's viral. Like, you know, whether it is to make fun of this person or to actually go ahead and do it, who cares? Because the everlasting effect it's having is just Like, I don't know, and it also just, like, influences the gender wars as well, and men think, like, oh, women are just, you know, sneaking around, waiting to catch something there, and it's, like, it's just exhausting. It really is.
It's so
and same
draining.
thing on men. It's, like, you see men on, you see, like, that, thou who shall not be named, like, horrible men online, you think that's the mindset of all of them.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. But yeah, and then we asked you guys, one partner, do you become easily paranoid about being cheated on? And 45% of you guys said it depends. 35% said yes, and 20% said no. So I feel like it depends, I think, is the answer that I might have put, because, like, I think it does depend on the person you're with and their actions, and that's better than being like yes overall all the time, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more scared of being abandoned, which is such a, like, big word, like, getting broken up with, like, more than being cheated on, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I've, you know, been in open relationships and, like, haven't really been cheated on, but I've been lied to, which is kind of, like, equivalent to cheating in poly relationships. One of our listeners submitted that, like, like a couple episodes, and I literally was like, thank you, bitch. Like, exactly. Like, this is what I've been trying to say. Like, so I do get that, but I feel like for me, it's not cheating as much. But I also think, like, if all of our viewers were, like, 18 to 21, like, this would be way higher. I do think, like, we are Zillennials, like, in between, I think the earlier Gen Z people, like, that's who I think that this really affects the most, because they are chronically on TikTok. They're on TikTok like how we were on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Like, that's their shit, you know? Like, I don't think we go on TikTok like they do. Like, even watching my younger sisters, like, it's wild. Like, it's the spot for them.
And I think it could also be the, like, perception versus reality too. Like, I definitely agree that it's like catered to younger audiences, but it's also like when we see so much of this online and we associate it with Gen Z, we're still like, this is what's existing online and it's different than reality. And I think our poll shows that like, you know, we see all this content and we're thinking, oh, everyone is trying to figure out the hacks to figure out their partner's cheating and blah, 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 blah. But maybe there's more normal people than not that aren't, like, chronically online on TikTok, like, trying to figure out these things.
I hope. I really hope so, babe. And I want to be friends with them.
Yes.
I want to hang out.
Yes, exactly. And then we lastly asked you guys, why do you get paranoid about a partner potentially cheating? And the highest was 52% at I have been cheated on before. Tied for 16% was the stories, red flags I see on TikTok, and social media makes it easier to cheat. And also 16% at their actions. So, I mean, I've been cheated on before. Like, I think we're going to touch on this at the end, but it's kind of like, you know, hurt people are very vulnerable. And I think a lot of the times the people that are, like, out to catch these cheaters and, like, being cheating vigilantes and spreading, like, ways to not be cheated on, like, they are deeply hurt individuals, you know? And so it's like, I think you're more likely to have these tendencies when you've, like, gone through some sort of, like, trauma, and, like, arguably cheating can be traumatic, you know? So it makes sense.
It makes the most sense to me, for sure. I feel like for me, it is like social media makes it easier to cheat. It's like when the times that I found out I had been lied to, or, like, whatever, I was left for someone else. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's hard. I think social media is, like, really scary. And, like, I was, like, when I was in my last relationship with a man, I was, like, dead ass, like, terrified to see if he was scrolling on Instagram, like, me immediately looking at the wall. Like, I just don't. I don't want to see it. Like, and it's just, like, it's not fun. And I don't know, it has a lot to do with the person you're dating, but also a lot to do with the culture. So it's kind of tricky sometimes, you know, especially if you are dating people that are in the industry or entertainment, like networking and all that. I'm networking.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, what am I supposed to say? Like, part of me is like, we tell each other to go out all the time to network. So I'm like, maybe it's valid, but it's also like, if you get some pussy at the same time, like, you're going to be mad? No.
Right, exactly. Like, it's hard to know. And I feel like that's why, for me, I think I put their actions, because, like, usually I try to choose ignorance is bliss situation and, like, have the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know. But, like, for me, I value my sanity, and I don't want to be, like, crazy worried about all the ways. But if, like, I've had partners in the past who have cheated and have done, like, sketchy shit, and then it's like, you know, then I am going to be on vigilante mode and, like, try to catch them because I have this intuition and I have this idea. So, like, You know, it's so dependent, but it's all like, that is a terrible fucking place to be. So like,
and
go ahead.
I do think once you're cheated on, like, it does kind of stay with you like that. And I also think once you've been broken up with, like, that stays with you too. Like, going into my next relationship after my first heartbreak, like, I was terrified. I was like, I don't want to feel that shit again, you know?
Yes.
Like, it's all scary and it makes sense. But I do think the culture of social media and this advice content, it's not helping anyone. Like, it's definitely hurting more people. Like, whether, like, you're either getting hurt or you're like, ha ha, like, it's funny. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's better jokes out there. Like, watch Brittany Broski. Like, she's hilarious. Like,
yeah. And like, if you notice this being a lot of your algorithm, like, be careful on what you swipe on. Like, try your best. But someone did submit a story and say, I think it's rage bait and it pins people against each other.
And rage bait, crazy. I have so much to say about rage bait. Whatever. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about rage bait and people saying like JoJo Siwa kind of does rage bait. And like a lot of people are like, I fed my, you know, kids candy for dinner and the internet gets mad, which is just like so horrible.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's real. Like, that's what happens. And I do think like, it's just, you have to remember these people are not stupid. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
To an extent, you want to be honest with an audience, but also it is a job.
And
like,
you
want to
go viral.
Are working.
Yeah.
And you want to go viral, and we can't control everything.
Yeah.
But I do think you have capabilities of going viral just for being real, raw, and honest and authentic too. It's just a lot harder.
Just like
you
the
know?
woman that made the commentary on the airplane guy. Like, that's something that went like pretty viral. It was
hate
talked
her,
about.
bro. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm talking about the woman that made the like.
Love her,
we
bro.
Love her, exactly. Like,
I meant the original.
Yeah, so like,
person.
thankfully there are people out there that are like, you know, combating.
Yeah.
this shit.
Oh my God. I died. I'm down bad for that bitch.
Yeah, we love her. We've used her before, but shout out to her. So,
and I screen recorded that shit of her because we wanted it so bad, but it was unsavable.
Yeah.
So we screen recorded it.
We might need to do that again. We'll see. So the last and final section of this video, we're going to talk about the girly gurus. Am I saying it right?
Gurus.
I like gurus, whatever.
I like the way you say it.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't really thinking about them or talking about them as much. And then I came across this YouTube video essay and I was like, no, I need to fucking include this. This is important, whatever. So shout out to Kidology, and she has a video called The Boom and Guru Girlies, a deep dive into the bestie parasociality.
I saw you subscribed because I was on her channel and I was like, who is this?
Yeah, she's a new one. Like, love her. Shout out to her. It was a great fucking video. And we're going to get into the comment section of the video after because that is interesting as well. And she kind of knew she was going to receive a little bit of hate for this video. But we love people that go against the grain, especially in the girl community. But so, right, like us, we get the hate too. It's fine, guys. We are still girls in a different way. But anyway, she talked a lot about these girly gurus. And some of them are the Wizard Liz is a big one. Manifestelle, Shera 7, who we've covered.
Manifestelle is iconic, but I really do love it.
Manifestelle has the girly support, the Spoiled Girly Support Group. It's like a podcast, video essay. The Wizard Liz, they're both, all three of them are YouTubers, but their content also goes on to TikTok and Instagram as well. So we're going to watch a couple quick little TikToks from them.
Grown men will never need your help. Like, they don't need your help for housing. They don't need you for car rides, nothing. They're men. If grown women can secure housing on their own, why would you lower the bar for men? In a patriarchy? In a system built for them? Okay, the moment you drill into your head that grown men will never need your help, the safer you are as a woman. Okay, because these malicious men, they use our kindness and our desire to help against us. Okay, that's literally anti-trafficking, how not to get trafficked 101. Grown men will never need your help.
Oh my God, he texted me good morning. Please. Oh my God, he told his mother that he's dating me. Oh, stop settling. What are you guys doing? Men always have the highest expectations for women, and men will not be with you if you're not attractive or if you're not his type. They don't care. They don't care to wait or whatever. Start expecting the treatment. Oh, I'm doing my best for you. This is the best you're gonna get. Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, that's not true. It's not even 1%. of what these women are getting. There is literally women, and I know these women, out here getting Bentleys, getting love, getting diamonds, getting real estate. Princess treatment 24/7. When you have women over here that get like crazy cars, that get houses, whatever, it's not even about being materialistic, to be honest, because like somebody might not afford that, but they give their time, they give their love, they try to do as much as they can. And damn girl, you are not even getting love. The bare minimum. Honey, raise your standards.
Okay, so that was the wizard. The first one was Manifestelle. The second one was the wizard Liz. I'm not going to include Shera 7 because we've talked about her a lot in the past. You guys probably know who she is with the sprinkle methods. And I want to stress that Shera 7 does say that she's a financial advisor, not a relationship, whatever.
I feel like we've said that like
1,000 times. And listen to our emotionally unavailable men to sprinkle pipeline episode that talks about that as well. We're doing all the plugs.
Episode 50.
Yeah.
That was episode 50, guys, and then no one watched it.
No one watched it.
Okay,
cool. It's big on Apple, but not big on YouTube. So like, what the fuck, guys? If you're watching on YouTube, please go watch. Like, push the views up. These are not the only ones. There's a lot more, especially on YouTube in the like manifestation realm. But these women are usually seen as like gurus, coaches, like your big sis, like your bestie. Like Manifestelle always calls you bestie, like girly, like whatever. And pretty much Kidology says these women are beautiful and nice to you, calling you bestie, they're being your big sis, but they do not know you and your unique situation. So it's that parasocial relationship. And then they also have a lot of toxic stuff about how to like make yourself hotter, specifically like the wizard Liz. She has a lot of like fat phobia and things like that. They also talk a lot about the divine feminine, manifestation, especially the wizard Liz. They always code men as providers, as you can see with the Manifestelle clip. Like, she is very much like, men will never need your help. Never. Men will never need your help. So they are kind of on...
I don't think that's true.
It's not. It's not. Like, men will need your help. That is an equal partnership. That is an equal relationship. And I just want to say, I've watched a couple of Manifestelle's videos like before watching this, and like honestly, as far as these women go, I don't hate her. Like, some of her content, like,
I think she's very funny.
She's
if
hilarious.
She's being satiric, like if it's
No,
satire,
it's not.
I wish it was.
I wish it was too. And one of the things about her that I like more than the other women is that she does talk more about the patriarchy. Like, she will address the patriarchy and will address like these systems. So I think it like positions her a little bit better than these other women in some of their views, but it's still contributing to the gender war, which is also what Kidology talks about. And then they also talk about this idea of, high value men and high value women, which is very core to the gender war as well.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, that reminds me of my ex-boyfriend so much, and I just constantly felt like he wants a high value woman, which is a rich woman with a BBL that lives in fucking Hollywood Hills, and like I'm like, I'm not that.
What the fuck is it though? Because like everybody has a different fucking definition. For women, it's usually like men are providers. Yeah. And they're whatever, but for men, it's like, oh, it's a woman who cooks and cleans and is a housewife. Oh, it's a woman who like is, it's what the fuck is that? We're all valuable, like high value. It's crazy language.
It's crazy language, and it's very hurtful.
It is, but Kidology also talks about like this idea of manifesting, and like they use a lot of like manifesting, law of attraction type of language, which I've fallen into. I believe in. I do a lot of law of attraction meditations. I've read books about it. Like, I do believe in manifesting, but they kind of take it to this level, like specifically the wizard Liz, like she'll talk about how you're not meant to be in the city you're in. You just need to manifest and attract a richer city, a better environment. But like, it ignores these like classism divides and these like economic structures where like some of these things are not possible. And like, same with looks, it could get like really toxic.
This is very interesting.
It is.
This is great.
It is. And then also they have like some contradicting views, right? Like, she'll show like their views just don't always line up or make sense. Kind of like the manosphere type of content. Well, they'll be like, oh, all women are like this. Then they'll later in a video backtrack because it's not completely lining up on the codes of gender. Like Manifestelle when she's talking about patriarchy. But then we'll say something that is like, talking about men in this way. So it's not lining up. Two more things. They very much label themselves as girls going into this whole bestie, like girl language.
Yeah,
Like
the bestie did its thing.
It did its thing.
Okay,
Like,
bestie.
we all want, and I don't have any sisters. Like, it would be nice to have an older sister giving you advice, like a little friend, a parasocial relationship if you don't have good friends around
Yeah, I want
you.
an older sister. I'm like expected to give the advice, and I don't have anything to say to that.
Yeah, but
Life
like,
sucks.
but so she talks about how they're allegedly girls, but they hate on other girls, and these other girls are pick-me's, or in Shera 7 world, they're pick-mishas. Like, Shera 7 will always talk about, you know, the pick-mishas that, like, don't ask for money and don't
So funny,
do, like,
though.
whatever. So, like, they're girls, but only if you're the right type of girl.
Which is not a girl's girl.
Which is not a girl's girl. And then they also simultaneously hate on their older selves. Like, a constant thing is like, oh, when I was younger and dumber, I did all of these things. So, like, learn from me. But they're hating on their dumber selves. So, like, it's also not really girl's girl ideology. And lastly, they are and this is the scariest part about it, and this video and a lot of the content that we create, because we've been afraid of as well, but they are very difficult to criticize, especially in today's society where women are having a moment. There's a very bars on the floor, dump him culture. And I think women are really realizing their power, and they need some of this like motivational content, this, you know, relationship content to drive them to feel empowered. But because of that, they are extremely difficult to criticize, because then you're not a girl's girl and you don't believe in empowering women.
Babe, we are like fully aligned. Like, I understand everything that you just said, which is so rare for me.
Yep.
And it's like, it's such like an easy trap to fall into. And I don't think any of these women are like malicious, but at the same time, they do know what they're doing.
Yes.
And I feel like, would Manifestelle or the Wizard Liz, like, would you say this same shit to like your best friend? Or are you just like the female audience and like the types of women you want to be around? And I feel like it also is scary to like come on here and like not criticize women, but be like, you know, maybe this isn't the best thing to do. But it shouldn't be. And I didn't feel like it used to be that scary. Like, I feel like, and now it's just like all of a sudden, but I'm just like, I don't know. I don't think this culture is like really helping anyone. And I also think it like not makes women look bad, but like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of men will hate and be like, oh, like women say they're like, but she'll cheat on her best friend. Like she'll whatever. Like, I don't know. And I just feel like overall, it's like, we don't all think this way. You know?
Right.
Especially with the high value and like the rich. It's like, I want to be rich so bad, but like more than that, like I do want to be like genuinely like happy and like creatively fulfilled, you know? Like that's what I really want.
Yeah. And I think the thing about all three of like Manifestelle, the Wizard Liz, and Shera 7 is they're incredibly entertaining. And I don't want to like go as far as to say like it is different on the women's side. Like the Manosphere creators, like I think are pushing hate in a different degree. I don't want to like come on here and try to cancel these creators, because I think that there is a benefit that they provide, and especially like in female empowerment to women. But I want to push more like media literacy to people who listen to them or watch them, because I've liked some of Manifestelle's videos, honestly. Like she's the one who I like more. I think Shera 7 is just hilarious, but like I think it's important to, when we're viewing it, know what you're viewing and don't put this person on a pedestal, because it is a parasocial relationship and you don't know them, and their advice does not apply to everyone. Like they're just giving these like quippy, like cool content. And even with us guys, like if you listen to us, like I think we do our best to try to be like, everybody's different, duality, like it depends on your situation. But like people could have parasocial relationships with us that don't know us and think like, oh, like what would Autumn do? You know, something like that. Like it's not always on the creator. I think it's on their audience and how they like take it.
Yeah.
But
and Drew always says too, she's like, do as I say, not as I do. Because she's like, I have plenty of stories of like fucking up or whatever. And yeah, and it's really, and that's why, again, like, I love Khadijah so much, because I feel like when I listen to Khadijah, I don't need to tell my brain, okay, take it for what it is. Like, because I just feel like they're so just real and like providing like hard facts and just like thinking critically about things. And
they
feels
also
like,
leave it open. Like, that's one of the things I like about Khadijah, and also Ollie's son Via, and I mean, Mina Lay is more like fashion stuff, but a lot of the ones that I like a lot,
like, is different.
yeah, but like they kind of like pose these questions and provide background, but like leave it open, and I think that's what we kind of try to do too, because it's like they know they don't have all the answers. Like, they're saying like, okay, like based off of what I've researched, this is really like not okay and this is not cool, but like, you know, everyone's situation is fucking different and it's not all black and white. So like, let's not latch on to things.
And minds change. Like, minds change as new information comes available, as new experiences are experienced. Like, it's all, like, I guarantee you, I know that I don't agree with, like, most of the things I said, like, episode 1 through 40.
Same.
Like, honestly, after our 50th episode, Sprinkle Sprinkle, I really took a new turn.
Yeah.
So it's like, take everything, and even with Khadijah, like, we should take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I do think I want to just highlight that, because it's rare to have creators where you feel like they're being so genuine and authentic with you, and also just real about how, like, you can think about things intellectually and you can do this trend, but at the end of the day, like, we're all complex human beings. And even if it is like entertainment, like Manifestelle, and like, again, just using her as an example because she's what we're talking about. Like, I literally don't even know her at all.
Yeah.
But it's like being entertaining, but also like knowing that people are like really going to take your advice. And like, even the things she said in that, like, it just makes me sad. Like, men don't need you. Like, I understand like why we would feel that way, and it's like, maybe logistically speaking, they don't need us to eat or
and the
have
beginning
a house.
is a good
but
point. The housing, like, yeah, like, you know, it's
and
like
why,
onto something.
It's onto something, but it's like, to preach the idea that men don't need you, I just think is very dangerous. Like, with hetero pessimism and just everything, and it's like, it's just not doing what you think it's doing. And I've been there though, like,
Yeah.
and I still am there sometimes, and I'm like, I say things all the time and I have to catch myself. Like, it's not helpful to you, Autumn, to talk about men this way. It's not even about them.
Yeah.
It's about, I don't want to walk around with like this over looming feeling. And that's just not true.
And prejudgment, you know, like, and lack of ability to have hope for things to be better, or be like an active participant in like making them better kind of situation.
Yeah, especially when it comes to dating. Like, I do feel like there's a lot of systems in place that are obviously unchangeable, but I do think we can make dating better. I don't think that's something that's so crazy and never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that, like, white supremacy, gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
Like, that's different. But dating and, like, how we choose to interact and talk to each other online, like, that we can fix that, you know?
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible, guys. But so just like, you know, Kidology had suspected and said in her video multiple times, it's really hard to criticize these women and even feminism and all of those things. And she received like kind of like a little bit, like a good amount of hate, and maybe not hate, but people backing up Manifestelle. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, like, you know, these creators have super fans with parasocial relationships that like pulled them out of these like dark depths of like, you know, bad relationships and blah, blah, blah. So like, these are some of the comments on her video.
First comment said, Manifestelle and the Spoiled Girlies support group really changed my mindset in a positive way. I spent my whole life centering men, and it completely changed my perception on things and helped me gain self-respect that I lacked, and deprogrammed me from the social messaging I got as a young girl that I just had to change myself in order for a man to want me, which led me to choose toxic men and sabotage my life in a real way. I wish I had that content in my 20s instead of in my 40s. And I do want to say quick about that, like, both things can be true.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's real.
Yes, that's so real. Like, that, it, like, but it's like, I don't want to hate on this person, but it's like, no one's saying that, though. Like, of course, like, if you're able to, you know, take this with a grain of salt and apply it to your own life correctly, great. But there's a lot of like younger women and just more vulnerable women that, it's, and it's the paranoia. But
and
anyways,
also, I just want to say real quick too, because like I feel like I kind of fall into that category of like, I am someone who in the past has like done way too much for men who do not deserve it. And that's something that I struggle with like all the time in my dating life. Like I give too much. And so sometimes this content, like even the Manifestelle videos that I watched, I'm like, it is helpful for that and building back your confidence and setting boundaries and all of those things. Like it can be truly healing. But I think like we want to put society into these binaries of like, if you're either this way or you're this way. And it's like, it's really somewhere in the middle, but.
And everyone's going on their own journeys. Like you were going to listen to Manifestelle to like help, heal your shit, decenter men. Like that's amazing. And like, it'll help you do that. But it's like my goal personally is to like be an active member in society that like wants to change the dynamics of gender, sexuality, race, everything, like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I get, it's not like everyone has to feel that way.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, I don't know, watching this type of content to get over a relationship or pull you out of a rut, it's like, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But it's like to think this is the end all be all, like men don't need you. Again, just as an example from that TikTok, like that's not my goal.
Yeah.
Personally. And that also doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
So, and I know I'm not alone, like in that, like we're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Next comment says, I believe that Manifestelle is a class apart. She actually breaks down many social phenomenons and talks about working on yourself. I absolutely respect her. Someone else said, well, I do think your stance is refreshing on, why is everyone saying Manifestelle?
Is it Manifestelle? Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, guys.
So much better. I think it is Manifestelle.
Maybe it's Manifestelle, guys.
Because everyone, and I've just been like correcting it because I'm like, they spelled it wrong.
It's Manifestelle.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, guys, sorry. Oops.
Manifestelle's videos really gave me a shock into a female-centered perspective. It kind of felt good to hear someone say that you should value yourself as a woman and not deal with bad treatment. Also, quote, don't get mad, get paid is a good way to view work, LOL. And this last comment says, yo, just because she flashes, like, I'm sorry, but like, it's just the way they started that. I'm already like, not, okay. Yo, just because she flashes a content creator that you like in this vid doesn't mean she's attacking you. The purpose of this video is to assess and critique the new type of content. She's not throwing out personal attacks. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Finally. Like, that is exactly what it's true because I do think, like, someone said it gave me a shock into another female perspective. Like, I should not be with this person. And that's all good. And maybe that's why Manifestelle wakes up every morning to do videos. It's to help people get through that. And I think it's just her videos and other people's along with everything else in the culture that makes it to be dangerous. It's not anyone's individual fault. I don't even think like relationship content needs to go away.
Yeah.
I think it's just like more people need to say, which I feel like maybe they think is obvious, but it's not, is like take this advice with a grain of salt, think about your own relationship. It's like no one really does say that.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like catchy and it doesn't fit into your perfect little present of a TikTok box, but like I feel like people need to hear that.
Yes.
More.
Yes. The media literacy.
Are you proud of me, babe?
Yes.
Like,
I'm
yes.
100% like everything you just said is like perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we discussed that a good amount. So next I want to go back to this this article that we mentioned in the beginning. It's from Dazed Digital, and it's, TikTok dating advice is making us overanalyze our relationships. And this says, I think women in recent years have realized that heterosexual relationships are still very much marked by oppressive patriarchal codes. Dr. Bandelli explains, most of the ethical innovations when it comes to love have been brought by the LGBTQ plus people. Shout out. So heterosexuality has not yet been structurally redefined. This is to say that there are no shared codes available to navigate. a heterosexual relationship outside of patriarchal codes. And this has led many women to withdraw or question the very possibility of finding a man who can be their partner.
rightfully, there's since been a backlash against the quote-unquote single positivity movement and it culture. But the result is a deluge of contradictory dating advice circulating online. Don't settle, but accept that no one is perfect. It's better to meet someone in real life rather than on an app, but only weirdos would approach you in the gym. Give everyone a chance, but watch out for these beige flags. Don't accept weaponized incompetence from your partner, but it's unrealistic to expect him to do everything your way. It's a bad sign if you have different hobbies, but then again, opposites attract. Dump him, but also modern dating is awful and nobody wants to face the app, so don't dump him. It's overwhelming. When there's so much dating advice floating around the internet, it's become increasingly difficult not to overthink our love lives. Love in capitalist societies is an individual matter. This is to say, there are not many shared norms and codes, or what sociologists call scripts, to navigate the dating scenes, Dr. Bendelli explains. You are supposed to find your way just by listening to yourself. That is easier said than done. Feelings can be confusing or conflicting.
Yeah, and like the first part of this, like I think we should talk about it in two parts, because like the first part I think is really what has manifested to where we are with Manifestelle, Shera 7, The Wizard Liz, and all of these women content creators that are like very like about women's empowerment and being like fuck all dating stuff because of the patriarchal codes. And like I said, Manifestelle, like she talks about the patriarchy, which is why I like her content a little bit more than the others. But it's like, it is so confusing because it's like we're in uncharted territory. Like women have more rights than we did in the past. Like partnerships are more equal. Women are more educated. We're making our own money. Like we can have our own lives. Like, but we still live in a capitalist society. And like, how do we navigate it when we're still engaging with very sexist men? It puts us in this really difficult fucking place.
Yeah, and I think it's really difficult to give relationship advice online because of how people take it and run with it. And at the end of the day, every relationship is so unique. And we talk about attachment theory and love language, and everyone's is different. And it's all so like hard to really give advice to just a whole population because it's not a one size fits all. But it's also like it's empowering to be on the dump him culture. It could be empowering to be like, men don't need you, like stop doing all this shit, like, and I get that, and I do think that's helpful. And I think, you know, me being in college, I would have ate the fuck up of all this content and been so down because that's at the phase I was in where I was angry and I really felt like that was true. But I just don't think it's like some people maybe aren't even angry, but now they are after watching these videos. So it's just like, it's really hard to do right, like to be a TikTok relationship advice giver. So I know it's not easy and there's always going to be flaws, but I just think like broad generalized statements in bold on TikToks about dating, this is why, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it's hard sometimes.
And they're not satisfying too, right? Like, just how this is saying like, oh, like, you know, nobody's perfect, but like this, that, the other, like, and that's sometimes what I feel like we do in this podcast where we're like providing advice, but then we're also advocating for the contrary. And it's like, sometimes we're like, oh, well, everything's just fucking confusing. So are we actually even providing any actual concrete advice? But like, I think that the sad truth of it is that people need to think critically on their own and
for themselves.
For themselves, and apply these things to their own lives and like have this media literacy. And like, you're not gonna find, like, I know when I'm in a hard place in a relationship or like whatever, like you want to go on TikTok and find that one tarot card reading or that one influencer that's gonna give you the secret,
and you'll find
what you need, and you'll find it, or you'll think you found it, but like
you found it.
It's not like real. Like the real source is within you, as corny as that fucking sounds. And like, you can use this content to inform your beliefs, but like,
and even just people commenting new fear unlocked, like that's such a trendy phrase to do, but it's not like a joke. Like people are being for real, like that like, great, thank you, that's a new fear unfucking locked. And it's like, I don't know, oversharing on the internet, like you could argue that's all I do. That's all we do is overshare on the internet. So I don't want to be like, da, 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 like whatever.
And and my hope is like with these creators, like they have their niche and like they're doing very well and they're making money and that's great. Our hope is really to just push like relationships and feminism and all of these things like forward and like ask questions and like engage in them, because like Manifestelle and Shera said, like, they are people and they're going to change their beliefs as well. And I want them to like be okay with that, because as a creator, sometimes it's hard. You feel locked into a niche and like your audience isn't always going to be happy when you change. But like for us, it's been super empowering to change our beliefs and like reassess how we view
in
the
our
world
real lives, of aside from anything we do online. Like we're not like, I really do feel changed, and it's like weird.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's get into this last article. This is called Sad, Paranoid, and Still Single, How the Dating App Destroyed Us All. So it's kind of dating apps with social media as well.
This idea that people are becoming increasingly fearful of painful emotions and of vulnerability more broadly has been picked up a few times lately. In a January Substack post, writer and journalist Rachel Connolly described how cagey and furtive the young people she interviewed for a piece on ghosting were. They all seemed sort of terrified of other people, but also of feelings, she wrote. Sociologist Alicia Denby recently reached similar conclusions in her research into modern dating practices. Drawing on in-depth interviews with UK-based dating app users aged 18 to 25, she found young people were reluctant to show emotional vulnerability, which they deemed to be a weakness, in case they were rejected or humiliated. Denby used the term emotional stalemate to describe this metaphorical standoff, with each party waiting for the other to open up and confess their feelings. Emotions become bargaining chips, with the winner being the party with the least to lose, the least invested, and the least emotionally attached, she said. The irony in this logic, of course, is that if intimacy is the prize, then neither party will win, as neither is willing to put themselves on the line, Denby wrote. Damn.
Yeah, I love this. And it is talking more about dating apps and like ghosting and all of those things. But I think it applies when we're talking about these ideologies of like a lot of hurt people going online, consuming content. We're all fearful. We're all paranoid. We all don't want to open up first and be vulnerable and show intimacy. But it's like, isn't that the goal? Like, isn't an intimate relationship what we really actually want? But instead, we're like bargaining and playing back and forth with these little things of, oh, provide for me. Oh, peel this orange. Oh, do this, so I can like rationalize in my mind why you're worth it.
Yeah, because like love is like a dirty word, like we've said in other episodes. And it's like, you think of a bad bitch, you think of someone that's like single, just like, you know, stepping on these men. It's almost like, you know, it's better to not. And it's always been nerve-wracking to admit your feelings. But right now in our culture, as a woman, admitting feelings for a man and like actually being submissive and soft, it also makes it almost makes you feel not powerful anymore. And I think people are just afraid of also all of the cheating and the social media stuff and all of that. And I don't know. I really liked the emotional stalemate. I was like, cellmate, like stalemate. I don't know. Like, why did my mind go to cellmate? But I feel like it's really, really hard to like wrap your head around a relationship really going well right now, especially if you're straight. And so it just makes so much sense. And this is what I mean. It's like the videos people make, it's like all little things online, but it's like, this is the result. Like that's real life shit, you know?
Yeah, because it's creating this, like, the metaphorical, like, standoff that it's talking about. Like, that's really what it is, because we're consuming all this content and all this stuff of, like, oh, make sure he provides. Oh, make sure he's not cheating. Oh, test him with this theory. And the men on the other side of, like, you know, the gender wars as well in the manosphere, they're doing the same thing. So it's like, none of us are like opening up and being vulnerable. We're all just like judging people based off of these tests and these little things.
Yeah, it's like not only am I going to test my relationship, but I'm going to get other women to like do the same thing, like, and see how their man is. And that kind of plays into the like, well, if your man passed the orange peel, it's like your social status goes up. Like, oh wow, she's with one that really cares. And it's crazy how the orange peel can go so far to being like a symbol when it just starts as something so silly. And I really loved like the lesbian couple. She's like, I don't eat oranges. Like that, I don't either. So it would be like very off-putting if I was like, can you get me an orange? I'd be like, you're gonna eat it? You're gonna take a picture with it? Like, what are you?
What?
So it's just crazy how it really becomes like a symbol and is like in the New York Times, because as much as it's just silly games, looking cute online, growing a following, it's like it does have an impact on the generations and on dating.
Yeah, and it's also like, I mean, I think it goes back to like the individualism, capitalism, and like the like pushing us farther apart, because like we're thinking of ourselves and what we're potentially going to lose. And this is something that like with the last partner that I had, like I really struggled with this in therapy, because I was very much like the mysterious girl side of things, where like I didn't want to like give too much, like I didn't want to text them back, I wanted them to put effort in first. And my therapist was like, why are you so afraid of like letting yourself have feelings and like being open and vulnerable to this person? Because like they could break your heart, they could be a terrible person, you could realize later that down the line that your views don't align. But isn't that more fulfilling and satisfying and growing to you as a person versus just shutting yourself off from all of these experiences to begin with?
Yeah.
You know, so like if we really want to like fight all this stuff, it begins in intimate relationships. But like a little bit more like just on the impact that this has on like single people, because we talked a lot about how it has an impact on like partnered people. Right. But single people specifically, here is a TikTok talking about it.
TikTok dating advice is brain rot for the girls. It systematizes and categorizes us. Are you a black cat who gets a golden retriever? Are you a girl who manifests princess treatment from men? Are you a wonder bread woman? Are you a pick-me girl? There's an entire chronically online schema of how to approach dating and relationships, often using theories like the black cat theory. There's a male equivalent to this as well, like for instance Sigmas and Chads, but that's for another video. But here's the thing, is that these content creators don't actually want you to get into relationships. Things like pick a card tarot readings, manifestation and law of assumption, and black cat theory are all designed to be highly addictive content. It requires you to stay put because you are a consumer and not a producer. It's kind of like impulse buying at a checkout aisle. It's addictive because it's a cheap thrill, providing a brief and unsatisfactory high that makes you crave more and more. We know that consumer culture disproportionately targets women and that we are held captive as consumers. So what they'll do is they want to fill your mind with this constant affirmation that you are going to get what you want, but that you don't have it yet. They want you to robotically affirm all day long that you are going to get your desire, that you are going to fill your mind with constant affirmation, because your ideal reality will manifest if you constantly think it. But it makes us addictive and it holds us captive as consumers. Dating and relationships ideally should be one of the most precious aspects of the human condition, and systematizing it, assigning labels to it, or approaching it as if you are to accrue certain resources like property or designer clothing.
But yeah, I think this is like kind of what I was saying on the idea of like capitalism and how it's like, we didn't really talk about, but like it's highly addictive. Like, and even the idea of like, there's always, we talk about it with dating apps in past episodes, but like there's always someone better out there, you know, like just keep swiping, just keep playing the game. And I think a lot of these influencers or these theories or whatever encourage like, oh, if they pass this, or oh, if they're doing these things of a high value man, then they are right for you. And if they're not, there is someone else out there, this perfect mythological creature that will do everything. So just wait and be single and keep consuming this content.
Yeah. And it would be nice if love was that easy. If he does this, it means he really loves you. But that's just not reality. And I think when people have horrible relationships, like are heartbroken, are wronged by men, what have you, it's like they're so victim to just falling for this, because rather than doing the complex healing they need to do, it's like, let me just think about it in black and white terms. Like, I can just manifest a dream man. Like, you know, but it's not talking about what you actually should be doing, which is like looking inward and, you know, even in the most fucked up situation, think about what you could have done, like what you did in that moment, you know, not to be hard on yourself, but just to take yourself out of it, like out of that sort of like maybe victim mentality or something. If it's abuse, like different story, but for other things like being cheated on, like try to just take yourself out of it and really think inwardly. And I don't know, I don't really think any of these dating coaches, gurus talk about that, do they? Like maybe they do, I don't know.
And be like open to like living and experiencing and like getting hurt and like growing and all of those things. Like I know it's terrifying and like we're so accustomed to these quick fixes, these quick solutions, this addictive kind of culture that it's like, and look, I love my fucking vices. I love to like watch TikTok, smoke cigarettes. Like if I'm emotional, I'm going quick to a cigarette. Like that is what I'm doing. And I think people in a situationship, like you want to get that fix, that's something that's going to make it feel better. But like you're not really like it's not solving anything. It's pushing you further apart from what you really want.
Right. And it's okay to like the content. I don't think all relationship gurus need to be banned from the internet. I just feel like it's the media literacy piece we talk about, and for people knowing that it's not a one size fits all. Like don't run with this so much. Like you don't know this person. Like you know what I mean? You don't know what they're doing. And if it is like really formulated to be addictive and like in a society that hates themselves and hates love, like a lot of people, it's like really, I don't know, it's kind of twisted. And I do get a little bit confused, but it's like, but I used to like really want to hate men and be like, men aren't the answer. And that empowered me to feel better about myself for a time. It wasn't sustainable, but it did work for me for a minute. I mean, I wasn't really hurting anyone, you know, and it did make me feel better.
It was a personal journey.
Yeah, but it's like for people to think it's the answer and just like ride or die for these people, it's like, and I get it. Like, I'm a fangirl. I've defended shit in the past that maybe I shouldn't have because I liked that celebrity. Like, we all do that. Like, you and I have done that. We're not perfect. But because we're in this setting of thinking about things critically, it's like we don't usually take the time to sit down and think about a trend. Like, who the fuck's doing that? Like, get a life. But, like, we have this podcast, like, and it's like, wow, like this shit does add up. And that's why I always say I have epiphanies in this episodes, because we're not just like critiquing this shit when we scroll by it late at night in bed.
Right. You have to sit with it.
You have to sit with it. So it's not easy. And I completely understand. And again, there's no hate towards any people that make content like this.
Right.
Like, I would just say, be more vocal to your viewers about how, like, I'm not God. Like, I don't know everything. And again, just the one, like, just how men don't need you, like, that really hurt. I'm like, they do, though. And not for the reasons about money and finances. Like, straight men want love and, you know, partnership. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, like, that's really scary to tell people. I don't like that.
I don't either. It gets into scary territory. But, like, I hope that's what we can provide for you guys. Honestly, probably sometimes more than like relationship advice and those kind of things, but just like helping you to ask your own questions and like think through
guys, that's
what you're
we're
engaging with. Yeah, that's where posing the questions.
That's where we shine.
We asked you guys, if single, have you lost interest in dating or become too paranoid to pursue potential relationships? And 65% of you guys said yes, and 35% said no. And so this is where that like kind of like the new fear unlocked, like, oh my God, like, you know, this is what it needs to be perfect. Like it puts you into this frozen zone. And I think a lot of us, like during the pandemic, we became more antisocial, more fearful of just like social interactions, like all of those things. But it's like, we need to live. And like, I love consuming content. I listen to podcasts all day while I work. I love video essays. Like, content is huge, but like, you need to build your own life experiences too. And you're never going to do, like, my therapist told me and Autumn were talking about it off camera, I think, but like, my therapist told me, like, I have relationship trauma. I've been through a toxic, abusive relationship, but like, she's like, you're never going to completely heal from that until you are in a relationship. And that's scary, You know, it doesn't mean that I have the right to like be abusive towards a partner or take things out on them. But like, if you're not in the environment when you're actively like unlearning things and working through things with a partner, you can't do everything like alone.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to put
You can
yourself
only
out
do
there
so
and
much.
do this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to like put it into practice, and that's when it's the most scary and hard. And I definitely feel like I've lost interest in dating for sure. Like, I feel like I don't really know if it's because I'm scared of being like heartbroken though, or being cheated on. I feel like I'm just like I feel like I feel like it's more just like the dump him culture and like all of that, and like honestly feeling like to be like the true like baddie core, like even though Charlie XCX is like has a fiance, like in the 360 music video, I'm like, that bitch is single. Like that person singing right now is single. Like she definitely isn't dating anyone. So I almost feel like it's like you're on top if you're single. I'm like, maybe that's just like a me thing, but I do feel a little bit of that. And I'm also like, nah, like you can't catch me in a relationship right now.
And that's
which
the
is
mentality.
which is not good. And obviously I do want to end up with someone, but I am a little bit falling into that a little bit where I'm just like, no, like I'm too cool for that.
Because
like,
you have so much to lose, like, and especially as women, when we're like people pleasers, whatever, like I feel that too. Like we've talked about it with the podcast, like it's better for us to be single. We're less afraid to share our thoughts. We're like more open. Like we speak our
I
mind
like
more.
myself better, honestly.
Yeah,
a lot
because
of the
I'm
time.
like not fearful of like the way that, because I've only dated men, that men can manipulate you or like kind of like make you think certain things are bad or speaking your mind in certain ways where it's like, oh, like I need to be like a better submissive girl. So like that type of stuff is, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we asked you guys why, you know, you've lost interest in dating or become too paranoid to pursue potential relationships if you're single. And 73% of you guys said, I have been hurt in the past. 18% said, I just want to work on myself. 8% said, I've heard too many horror stories. And 0% said dating app burnout. And I just want to say, like, the I've been hurt in the past is so fucking real. I think we all have. And I think, like, that's also something to consider. Like we talked about, the people watching this content looking for a fix, looking for a solution, and also the people creating the content. Like the people that are creating it are also hurt. We're hurt. Me and Autumn are hurt. We've been through bad shit in relationships that has like fucked up our brain in certain ways. But I think like because of this
altered
podcast,
our brain chemistry.
like, but because of this podcast and this like journey that we took upon ourselves, like we're trying to actively, you know, go against that and like question ourselves. And I honestly think if it weren't for this journey and the responsibility that we feel as creators to an audience as well, that like, you know, maybe we
I
wouldn't
would
be doing
still
that
hate
as
men
much.
for sure.
Exactly. But it's like, I think we gotta like pay attention to that. Like everyone is hurt in different ways. Hurt people make content, hurt people comment hateful things, you know, like
people make
we're
Just
all fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to show is a compilation of these hurt people on TikTok, which is another source of dating paranoia content on TikTok. And I think it just really shows where our culture is kind of at in situations, relationships, whatever. So we can watch this compilation.
Kind of love, you only get it when you're young and stupid.
My last boyfriend I dated had a very strict no crying rule.
He has to have a really good sense of humor, but he can't be broke, because that's not funny.
Like, I'm not gonna get a bump, but it's like, wow. The reason that women go for the bad boy instead of the nice guy is because the bad boy's hotter. They both end up being misogynistic pricks, so go for the one that's nice to look at.
Thought that this person valued me as a human being.
This is what the guy said. Well, I see women in one of three ways. Either I flirt with them for fun and I'm not attracted to them. I flirt with them for fun because I am attracted to them and I'm trying to hit. Or there's a nice girl that I genuinely would want to be a good guy for.
They don't want you to give it to them. They want to take it from you. Your sexuality is something to be consumed, and if you are complicit in any way in serving it to them, then you are a worse person because of that.
They just become uninterested because they slowly start meeting who I really am.
What is y'all's biggest ick in the guy?
But you're short as shit.
Cuddling with his girl best friends at parties instead of me. Saying it's okay he cheated on me the first week we started dating because he was thinking about me the entire time.
Missed out on the window of my life where I can just love someone for the sake of who they are and nothing else.
If we ever date, just know I'm not getting over you for 4 fucking years, at least.
That's because you have a pattern in choosing. You choose the same type of guy, therefore you're repeating your same dating experiences.
Before you start trying to shift or transform or change that behavior in any way, spend some time reflecting on and appreciating how that thing helped you.
And I go well out of my way to make sure I don't make people uncomfortable, yet I still do.
I think one of the most heinous and bizarre things that the internet has done is convincing us that isolation.
That honestly deserves an award. Like, I Right? feel like we always talk about how, like, Netflix and all these shows, like, don't get Gen Z right or whatever. Like, whoever made this, like, understands dating culture. And it was all, like, I just ate it all up. And, like, some of the ones, like, that stood out was, like, the guy that was, like, me when, like, I found the one that I can't manipulate. And then a guy that was, like, I won't bring up sex, so I can only hit it sooner. Like, it's just, like, so accurate,
And then
bro.
there was, like, some wholesome ones. Like, there was a girl like me on the first date with, like, flowers. And then there was, like, it's just, like, this needs to be in a fucking history textbook because I feel like
This
the
is
weird...
so good. And it
Like-
has 1.7 million views.
Yeah, and this is from 2023 is when at least the post was made on Twitter. And it's like, this is good core. Because, like, what core is this? Because it's all of it. But, like, TikTok has brought up this weird... Because, you know, people talk a lot about relationships on Twitter. And, like, Facebook and Instagram, like, as well, too. But TikTok, I feel like, has brought up this new era of... And it makes me hopeful. Like, it honestly makes me hopeful in a way that we're all trauma dumping and giving shitty advice and figuring shit out. And it's so chaotic. But, like, it deserves a fucking award.
That, like, they should make a documentary about dating, and this should be the opening scene. Like, I would sign off. Like, I'm like, it's so, whoever made that, like, who is this? It's like, so when the acts are over each other and you can't tell.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just so, it's so true. And we laugh, but, like, it is... And I don't even know if it's sad. It's just, like, different. Like you said, it's uncharted territory. But it's just very validating to also be, like, everyone's having the same experience. And even men acknowledging, like, you know, that particular man probably doesn't do that. Because if he did, he probably wouldn't post about it like Kiki. But, like, they know. Like, that's just... And it's, again, me being like, oh, the men one stood out to me. Because I'm like, I think they know nothing. I think they are so oblivious to, like, the treatment that goes down.
Yeah.
So when you see something like that, it's like, oh my God. Like, and I hate that, but that's what happened for me. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I found it, like, to be, like, so much content that I couldn't even, like, I was trying to read the screens and listen to the words. But, like, that's what it embodied the feeling of what it feels like to be in this generation when you're single in your 20s and you're college and, like, even early 30s, like,
even
all
early
that stuff,
30s,
figuring
like,
it out.
even
like, we don't know. Like, there's so many voices, but I really feel like dumping it, like this big ass dump that we're fucking doing right now. Like, I am still, like, hopeful that, like, you know, we can weed through the paranoia and be, like, a little bit more conscious about, like, wanting intimacy and love. Because isn't that all what we really fucking want, guys?
Yeah. A lot of people.
Right.
Most people. So that brings us to our wrap-up segment, guys. At the end of every episode, we always talk about what we're wet, dry, and still a little bit confused about the topic. So I will go first, and I will say, like, again, I'm super wet that I'm single and don't have to worry about any of this, which I know is not the point. The goal is not to be paranoid and afraid of relationships. But especially after just, you know, watching that last compilation video, it's like it really is rough out there. It's always been kind of rough, but it's different it's rough in a new way now. So I am like just very happy, like kicking it on my own right now. Super wet about kidology. I thought that video was very validating, and I also like really respect her going on the internet and having some views that aren't as similar to the culture, and like really, you know, just asking questions. And it's like when you talk about misogyny and sexism, and it's like, I know it's like, it's, you know, men, like we always talk about women, but let's talk about men too. But you can't just not talk about women. Like you can't just ignore that and be like, everything we're doing is perfect though, because it's not. And at the end of the day, we are stooping to their level with like dump him culture and all this shit. It's like, that's what they do to us. Like we want to be above that. Yeah. But also I get it, and it's super fun and trendy. Like I literally have like 3 shirts that say dump him, and like they're like my favorite shirts. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's duality for sure. But if we're talking overall goal, I don't think like dump him culture, all that shit's the answer. And I guess I'm wet about too, like I am wet on how we were able to kind of think about all those theories in the context, you know, right next to each other. Like it's also like trendy, quick and fast, come and go. But when you really look at like the list of all of the theories that have been announced, just like looking at a list of all the new Gen Z trends, it's like looking at them all together, talking about it, it makes it feel a little bit less intense and so damaging, because you're like, well, if more people really just sat with it, I think they would come to a similar conclusion, you know? And I think that's, you know, something to be wet about.
Yeah, I definitely like echo everything you said. Like, especially like the stuff about kidology. Like I love when I find like a creator that's going against the grain.
Kidology, like this is a fire game.
Like shout out to her. Like I'm definitely gonna watch more of her videos. And like I'm wet too about the end, like that last TikTok that we played, and like the just dumping of everything. Like, you know, when like me and you had a conversation, like both of us actually this week, about different shit where we just kind of like opened up about things that we've been dealing with like individually, and it felt like relieving to like.
And I'm so honored that you come to me for real.
Yes, same. Like you are like my person for that, and like I'm honored to be like yours as well. But like as a culture, I feel like we're dumping right now. Like we're getting it all the fuck out, and it's easy to be paranoid, and that is the negative side of things. But it also gives me hope in the sense of like, at least it's all fucking out there, and we need to address it. And people are going to get sick of things not working out, and they're going to feel bad, and they're going to want something better. So I'm hoping the cultural shift is to really have like media literacy, engage in these things, and want like intimacy and love and healthy relationships. So like that definitely makes me wet. But yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it. Everything else you said like really well. So I completely agree with you.
Shut the fuck up. I would say I'm so dry, like obviously just about like the state of dating and like how it's completely intertwined and connected with the gender wars if you're straight, because I really do feel like when I say I'm scared of dating, like I'm scared of dating women too, but like for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like more so for like limerence last week, like that episode. But this, I really do feel like applies the most heavily, because it's the more intense dating relationship content when they are talking about men, because it's like, it's so layered. You know, you can't talk about straight relationships without talking about, you know, misogyny within those relationships. And same thing if like, you know, you're dating a person of color, you talk about race. Like you can't just like not talk about those things. And I don't know, it's all just so heavy. And I think I'm just overall dry too about how, you know, people are becoming more numb to emotions and having a harder time opening up and saying how they feel. And I've, you know, you complimented me the other day in last week's episode about how I shoot my shot and like go in my DMs, and like it does make me feel more grateful to be that way, because I really don't give a fuck. Like I'm like, if I'm, you know, it's just weird, and I'm lucky for that, and I'm really grateful for that. But I am super dry that is what it's all coming to, and it makes sense, you know. And I don't know, I think I'm able to hang on to that more because I can be with women. Like, am I gonna? No, but I do it with guys too. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and honestly, like, and that is like one of the things that I think like drew me to you as like a best friend, because like I really do look at you as like such a confident person that's like wears your heart on your sleeve sometimes, and like, you know, like you're not afraid of that, like, you know, vulnerability or just like looking crazy or being like even laughed at in a certain way,
like embarrassed. Yeah, I'm like humiliation kink, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But like I think it's inspired me in a lot of ways to be like similar, because I'm like, what am I tripping about? Like we all have social anxiety.
Exactly. Like, what are you tripping about? I'm like,
what's gonna happen?
To be young and attracted to people is a blessing. Like, just go for it. But it's also like easier said than done. I know. Like, people go through shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm dry about the same stuff that you said. Like, really biggest is that like gap that it's forming between us with the gender wars and this content about like cheating, and when it manifests for single people and puts them like fearful of like ever going even on dates or like starting a relationship, and then for people in relationships that have like a somewhat healthy relationship otherwise, it puts them in like the territory of potentially like losing that. So like it's on both sides, like people in relationships and single people too. So it's just like, I don't know, like I want to believe in love, like I want to believe in intimacy, all these things, but like I'm dry as fuck about like all of the content in this episode. It is so hard to consume without, like, it's so hard to be media fucking literate about everything we fucking watch. We want to, because we, again,
and
we
it's
have
impossible.
platform.
We're not
It's
going to be
impossible.
able to. Yeah.
Like, we're not. We don't have the time to research every fucking TikTok that we watch and go down a rabbit hole and engage and journal about it. Like, it's not realistic. So, like, dry about that, but, like, hoping we inspired you guys to, like, you know, do a little better.
But being bisexual is so weird for real, because, like, you do feel the hetero pessimism for sure. I'm like, being with a man. But it's like, I'm so lucky that that's not the only option, because I would feel so much differently about all of this if it was.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't believe in love either. I don't know if I believe in love when it comes to men, but also I'm like, I don't know. So it's really weird, like, being bisexual. Like, it honestly is pretty trippy. And when I say bisexual, like, I'm down for anyone and anything. Like, it's
pan,
maybe
really.
It is pan, but bisexual is just more cunt. So, like, that's what I like to say. But I guess for confused, it's like, again, I feel like I've said, you know, I don't think relationship dating experts need to go away offline. I think that they've allowed people to learn and heal and create space for women to like come together and share bonded experiences. But I think the only thing is just, I wish that they were more transparent about, this is not an end all be all. You ultimately need to, it's like the fine print. It's like ultimately what's fine, even if they just said it in the comments.
Entertainment purposes only. Like,
figure it out for yourself, you know, more so please don't take this and run with it and live by it and let this be your Bible, because that's just not reality. But again, I think it's okay to entertain, and even just those clips we watch, like, I think it's funny because I wish it was satire in a sense. Because I get it. I'm like, you're not wrong, I guess. It's like, men don't need us. They're showing us that they don't need us, like, whatever. But deep down, I know that they really do. And it's like, do we, you know, what's with the need? It's like, I want just men and women to want each other, to want to be together, not need. I don't want a man so he can give me this, and I don't want a man to want me so I can give him that. Like, I just want us to want each other. And so, I don't know. I feel like relationships do feel like a need a lot, especially if you're a woman, because you feel like you failed if you're not married by, 35 with kids or whatever it is. But it's not a need. It's a want at the end of the day. So, yeah, and I just rambled. But it's all very confusing. What do we do from here? Like, what do we do? But I just think my biggest advice to everyone is just to take it with a grain of salt. And sometimes I'm like, are we just hurting ourselves by critiquing it more? But I don't think we are. I think we're actually able to uncover it and like kind of zoom it out of perspective and look at it for what it really is. Because again, when you're on TikTok in bed at night, you're not doing that. You're kind of just mindless doom scrolling. And so I think this is beneficial to talk about it out loud.
Yeah, because I think it's important for us to critique the culture and try to push it forward with the knowledge that like there's a generation that's gonna come after us and critique us and want to push it forward. You know, like it's a constant
Can't
cycle.
wait for that. Yeah,
Right. Let's see what's next. But like definitely like I'm super confused about the line I think between like these creators and the audiences because you know, there's a gap. Sometimes audiences take it upon themselves to speak for the creator and attack people and all of that stuff. Like even going back to the Clinton Kane stuff and the Brooke Sheffield stuff. Like, you know, like her audience is attacking him, all of that. Like, is she condoning it? Is she not? You know, like people's position.
What can she even really do?
What can she control?
A certain point,
like, what is your responsibility as like the masses? And it makes me a little bit fearful for us as like content creators because like, you can't really like control that stuff and you can only hope that your content hits people in a positive way and not like in a way that makes them like hate themselves and not want to like go outside and date.
Yeah, guys, go outside and date. It's
go
okay.
outside and date. Like we want you to. Like we want
I
you to
am trying
experience
to as well.
Intimacy, love, like find those things. Like you need to like, you know, experience life and grow as a person. And I think that too, like for me, like it's confusing to figure out how to balance because I love content, like listening to content, consuming content, engaging in it, how to balance that with your real life. And I think the pandemic has made that even more complicated for us to like figure out like real life versus, which is our whole fucking podcast where reality and the internet collide, you know, but like finding that, like knowing when, you know, when the little TikTok stop scrolling things comes on, like I always fucking ignore that, but like figuring out, you know, where your accountability and responsibility is and how you engage in content and managing that because it's so much easier said than fucking done.
You know what works for me though? Like when I've been in my TikTok phases, like people will make a video and be like, hey, yeah, have you gone outside today? And they make me feel like shit, but in the best way possible. And I'm like, all right, that's my sign. I'm stopping. Like honestly, that will get me because I'm like, damn, the algorithm really knew, but like whatever. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought about this whole sort of episode, dating, you know, relationship advice online, dating paranoia in general, the state of the fucking world when it comes to dating. Let us know what you thought in the comments below or in our DMs on Instagram. Remember,
if they made it this far, what should they call
yeah. If you guys made it to this part in the episode, please comment. Comment passion fruit below if you guys have been listening this whole time and made it this far. But as I was saying too, definitely follow us on Instagram so you can be a part of the polls and submit stories for the episode. You can always email us for topics, advice, story times, anything just to connect. Our email is open, so wetsodry@gmail.com. The O's are zeros. And lastly, please subscribe on YouTube. Give this video a thumbs up. If you're on Spotify, follow us. Our follower count is slowly going up. So even like any follow, just one person, it takes 2 seconds. Even if you're on YouTube, you can click the Spotify link, just boom, follow us, give us a star rating. It does make our day. Like we text each other and obviously, you know, I was just thinking like, I love recording. Like I really love to talk. And they always say like, don't be a content creator, a podcaster if you don't actually love it. Yes. Because it's going to take time to make it your career or whatever. And it's like, thank God, because it would be so fun. I really do love it. Like I just had a moment. I was like, damn, like we just get to talk. Like, but yeah.
But yeah. Also, we do, like Autumn said, we have the link to our Spotify at the bottom of the description of every single fucking episode. We don't make any money for referral off doing this, but if
we're
you guys,
losing money.
We're losing money constantly. So if you guys are into this content, if you like it, if you support us, if you want to see us create more content, which we're gonna do fucking regardless. So even
see
if
us
you don't
take our tops off, like
right? Okay, Autumn wants to push the OnlyFans. We're not doing that. We make YouTube videos anyway. But we have our Spotify link for listener support. It is the only way you can financially support us at the bottom of the description of every single episode. Regardless of the platform that you guys are listening, it is 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. We also would love to do creator spotlights for artists, small business owners, creators. If you have a YouTube channel, if you have a nail business, if you sell wigs, if you
make clothes,
make music, anything like that you want to kind of like market and get more of an audience and you think our audience would like your shit, DM us or email us so wet, so dry, the O's are zeros @gmail.com, and we will do a little 2-minute segment for you, pictures, photos, everything included. But yeah, we love you guys so much. We hope you like this episode, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.
What's it called when you ain't talked to someone in months, but you think about them all the time?
Let's unpack the difference between a crush and having limerence for somebody.